If you have any feedback on the stream quality, that kind of thing, we're always looking to improve in that regard. And now here we go. A best of 5 between two of my favorite players. In the bottom left, fighting the good fight, it's Stats. And in the top right, it is Sue. I don't believe they do so anymore, but I want to say both of these players played on the Afreeca Freaks or were sponsored by Afreeca too. Do not quote me on that. But, yeah. We'll see. I think Stats a little bit of the favorite for this matchup if we just look at GSL results, but I feel like ZVP can be a little bit volatile at this level. Like, there's always a chance Sue can pull something out of his hat, or that Stats will go for some wacky strategy. And, yeah. That probe scout moving out for Stats. Comes on in there, nothing too crazy. Music was not enabled. That's a party foul. We've got that fixed though. Probe scouting out. Gateway into Nexus for Stats. Confirms there's no early pool or anything like that. And the game will progress to presumably a Stargate for the Protoss players. That is indeed still the meta for the most part. I wouldn't be surprised if Stats changed it up. And Alcyone, which map is, which race does this map favor? I honestly can't say 100%. I want to say it doesn't look too bad for Protoss, due to the nature of the expansions. All the ramps and everything as well. Stargate on the way for Stats, Adept as well. Sue moving out with a couple of links, chasing this probe all the way home. Third base going up for our Zerg friend. He's just starting up Link speed, then cancels it rather promptly, so a little bit of indecision there. I'm not sure exactly what that was. He thought, okay, Link speed, cancels it, starts it again. Maybe that was just to free up some minerals. Interesting to note that. Oracle is on the way for Stats. And there's that Adept shading across the map, the two Adepts, giving Protoss control of the map until that Ling speed is potentially done. So we'll have to be on point to make sure there's no small opening, but he has done this before, that's for sure, with his experience playing Zerg. Adepts coming on in, Queens force the Shade out. Shade moves on up towards that ramp. Ling's trying to stay on top of them. The Adepts cancel the Shade. There's actually was that an attack animation? I guess maybe Sue clicked on the rocks momentarily. Phoenix of War saying, is the chat working this time? I can tell you it certainly is. We've got two Queens shooting away an Oracle. The Oracle is able to secure 2 kills. Did lose some whole health, so it isn't going to get too much damage done. Too much more damage done. We've got the second Oracle coming on in, though, and Sue's natural mineral line is looking a little bit exposed. We've got a couple of Queens repositioning, but there could potentially be some kills. Great drone pull by Sue in order to minimize the damage, forces the Oracle to commit more. Does, however, still get 3 drones and gets on out of there. A lot of damage done. But, well, 3 drones. I'd say that's decent damage for Stats. Sue not investing in any spores, notably, against this 3 Oracle Protoss. Stats also using Revelation to kill the creep tumors, wanting to keep that down. I like to see that. Now he's going to be looking to bully Sue a little bit with 6 Adepts coming on in. All of a sudden, the Zerg may have been caught with his pants down a little bit, as there's only 6 lings out for the... There's only 6 lings out for the Zerg. We've got a Stasis Ward getting tossed down. There was indeed a Spore Crawler in the main base that at least forced the Oracle to use that and not just kill those drones with its Pulsar Beam. More and more lings are being made for Sue as he frantically tries to put out this fire. He hasn't taken too much damage just yet. However, there is drones in that main base exposed. 5 going down so far. Looks like 5 of the Adepts get out as well. One of them's been red for quite some time. However, it has not been picked off, so it's been able to get a little bit of extra damage done. Lings do manage a surround, and it looks like that those Adepts do go down. All of them not getting out. It looked close, but they stopped moving. Sue was able to get the wraparound, and all of a sudden, that damage wasn't so cheap. It got a decent amount of success done. It's hard to say who that is leaning towards. I'll say that's leaning towards Stats a little bit. It's not massive damage. Those Adepts themselves only got 5 extra drones. The Oracles had got 5 prior to that. The Stasis Ward has got some damage done. Great pull by Sue. Gets those drones back to work, however. I love to see that. Now what do we have? We have got 5 gates on the way for Stats, getting Blink +1. A Templar Archives as well, so I wonder if that's for Archons or for Storm. I do love me some Storm. Oracle comes on in. Potentially gonna reveal, maybe try and kill a creep tumor. Nope, just still flying around. All 3 Oracles are still alive, so it's good for Stats that he kept those up. Sue, however, has made it to the 4 bases. He's mining happily. Stats mined out his mineral wall. He's getting up his own 4th. Sue wants to break down these rocks to open this attack path. That's very significant. The Protoss will have to then wall off that base, potentially. So I really like that by Sue. Ling's getting on in here. However, Stalkers and Oracles are in position to intercept. Sue's making a Spire, so we could very well, and I think we will indeed be seeing mutas from the Zerg. I actually really like this, as Sue, a very good mutalisk player. Stats is throwing up cannons at all of his bases, it seems. Batteries too, makes a Phoenix after scouting that, and Sue definitely is committed to these mutas, as he has not really any other upgrades going. No Roach Speed, no Hydra Den, nothing like that. He is really going for these. He's getting out a Ravager. Maybe that was intended to try and kill this Oracle. This Oracle is out on the map. Mutas will be popping out soon, so it does want to get home. I think we're heading towards a macro game, though. I don't see these mutas getting too much done. And so I think we're going to see Sue be forced to just macro up. He's got that 5th base on the way, which I do like. Hopefully he drones that up real quick. There's that observer hanging out. 5 Stalkers being warped on in. Baneling Nest on the way for Sue. Lots of Lings, +2, +1 on the way. Same for the toss. And there's the mutas, but yeah, it's such a big map. Sue had been scouted by Stats, so Stats knew this was coming. He's already got out 3 Phoenix, got up the cannons. I don't see too much damage getting done, and as a result, the Zerg player will just have to play this out. I would like to see Sue throw up another base as soon as possible, just to have that extra hatchery, as he's got the resources, that's for sure. And he's going to need the larva, as this game is going late, so he's going to potentially have to remax once or twice. So I really would like to see another base get thrown up for Sue. Start mining out this mineral wall, or even expand to the far left, but I think that's a bit far. Yeah, another base, even a macro hatchery, please, Sue. You have the money. The Zerg player is approaching max. The Protoss is taking his time to build up, of course. Having to invest in those Phoenix held him up a bit. That fleet beacon is just finishing up. Stats has gone for a large number of gateways. He's making 2 more, a mothership. Probably going to be looking for a fight with his ground army instead of just teching into carriers and that kind of thing. That could potentially catch Sue off guard. At the same time, it is a risky move by the Protoss. Out goes Stats. He's only got 2 Archons in this army. There's 3 actually now. I'm not sure where the last one is. But that's not too much for the Zerg. The stasis wards can be big, as those oracles have built up energy this entire game. However, this is not that strong of an army for the Protoss, and this could be stats potentially giving Su a window. Of course, the stasis wards, the Psystorm can be really problematic for the Zerg, and we do see Lings running on in here, baiting out those stasis wards. But looks like Su, with some Banelings from the rear, trying to get on top of the High Templar, does force them to be lifted up momentarily. We do see Banes closing with the High Templar, though, and all of a sudden, Su did catch Stats off guard. Stats overcommitted big time there. The Oracles activate their Pulsar Beams, get a couple kills on the tail end of that. We even see one Stalker taking out 3 Banelings, body blocking like a champ somehow. But I think that fight went quite alright for the Zerg, who's now going to remax with almost 100 Lings on the way, 14 Banes, 6 Corruptors, and Stats has got to be panicking a little bit here. He's got 6 more High Templar, building energy for Psystorms. That's really critical, and he's confident enough to take a 5th base, thinking of the long term. He's got so many resources, just not quite enough gateways to spend them yet. I'd almost wouldn't mind seeing a bit more static defense or something going up for the Protoss at this point in the game. He's got the minerals, and I think he needs to be a little bit concerned about Su spilling forward here. Lings are moving forward. They are not baiting out these 2 stasis traps. This could be big, as Su thinks he's cleared that runway with that Ling. He's got another one moving forward, does catch that one. So the Zerg army will avoid that stasis ward. Can they avoid all these Psystorms, the potential problems from the mothership here, as there is only 1 slow Overseer behind this army. 2 Psystorms get baited out. More High Templar are being morphed on in. But it's Zealot Archon against a Zerg with mass Ling Bane, and the Bane is pretty terrifying at this point. The Corruptor's in the sky to potentially deal with the mothership, and it's all about positioning here as Su is looking for a good fight. He's up to 52 Banelings. He's got +2 attack done already. He's looking for +3. Banelings are just going for it ahead of the army. Su crashing into Archons like a madman, thinking I may just have the Banes to break this toss, and he very well may, baiting out those Oracle's Pulsar Beams. There's not a single Psystorm left here. But Su does not want to engage that with just Lings. We've got a Zealot run by, killing this hatchery of Su. He is going to need to replace that as soon as he possibly can, getting one on the right side. I'd love to see that. If Stats has a Warpin going down for some harassment, that would be incredible. The Protoss is still down on supply just a little bit, but we already see Stats getting up another base, so he's going to have an incredible gas income. And the Zerg player has eased off the gas a little bit, and I think he needs to make a move happen here soon. Like, no Roaches are in this army either. Roaches and Ravagers are okay against the Archons. We see a Zealot run by getting shut down. It's quite literally like Archons as the main army for Stats. He's got 8 Archons against an all Zerg like an all Baneling Zerg composition. We see some stasis wards catching a lot of this army. Psystorms going down. Lings and Banelings trying to take on Archons. Doesn't work out. There's definitely the numbers for the Zerg, but nope, turns out Archons are pretty darn good against the Lings and Banelings. So a big attack working for Stats. He's all of a sudden able to warp in on the front lines there. 10 more Zealots warping in to join this fight. And Su trading out Banes against Archons just has not been working for him. Like, it can work for the Zerg, but there just hasn't been enough. And this is why almost like a couple of Roaches in the army is good. Those softened up Archons do get killed, though. Lings are getting some good surface area. The Prism still alive, warping in some more Zealots as the Protoss tries to break the Zerg. There's also 10 Zealots not with this main army, wreaking havoc at this Zerg base. Lots of Lings caught in the stasis ward. Su is making everything he can, but that Prism is so low on HP. It has been, but the Archons, or the Corruptors, have not picked it off. Doesn't matter, though. Stats is able to take game number 1. And what a game that was. Su, I didn't mind his strategy at all. Just, I think you gotta have like some Roaches or some Ravagers against that composition. I mean, like, the Roaches are just a little bit more tanky. Then again, I am no Zerg, that's for sure. So we'll just get into the next game and see if Su can redeem himself. Site Delta. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in to Afreeca World 111. We've got the players in the lobby, and the game's going. I feel like Sue is just messing with us at this point. In game, his name is S lowercase O uppercase O, but in the menu, it's S uppercase O uppercase O. So I was like, is Sue referring to himself as something different? No, in game he does indeed have his same old username that he's rocked for the better part of 2 decades. John Solo, no Falcon. He'll be joining us in probably about half an hour or so. Anyway, in the bottom right, it's Sue. And in the top left, it's Stats, boys. And Sue didn't look bad there by any means, just his, like, and there was that moment, which it was like 170, 80 supply Zerg against 130 supply Protoss, and it's like, maybe Sue can keep that going, and maybe he should have tried to keep it going. But that's almost why the Ravager backbone seems to be so good for the Zerg. It's because like they tend not to die in the fight, so then when you're trading out Banelings and Lings, you still have a bit of an army left. But anyway, welcome to the stream, John Solo. It is good to see all you regulars here. I know we had some technical bugs last week. Well, last event. But, yeah. Let's see. Sloverlord crossing the map. Couple of queens popping on out. Probe Scout, nothing crazy. Yeah, it's good chat's working again. I missed hearing from you guys, and there is a technical thing that I need to handle for the camera, because when I'm observing, I need to have Falcon's Discord up on my other monitor, so that when we swap screen, Windows can capture it, because for some reason that doesn't capture... For some reason that doesn't capture if the window's minimized. So basically that means that like I can't have chat open. So I can actually interact with chat a little bit more directly while I'm solo casting. Okay, third on the way here for Sue. Oracle on the way out for Stats. He had moderate success in the early game. I don't think it was game deciding. Previous match, we'll see how he does this one. He did commit to that big Adept attack that didn't really amount to much either. Although I think that that may almost just be like a part of the build. For Stats, like, I got the 6 Adepts, so they can't really Ling flood me type thing. Oracle comes on in, grabs 3 kills, and gets to the back of the base, nice and safe. A lot of hull damage on that guy, but if you had to choose between an extra 20 HP and an extra drone, I think a Protoss would take that trade any day of the week. So a good start for Stats. Sue is transferring drones, transferring queens. As he gets that third base up, he's got another queen in position to intercept this other Oracle. Interestingly, though, Stats just elects to kill off the 2 creep tumors and get on out of there. Not gonna be greedy. 2 more Adepts warping in for stats, so he's got the 5 Adepts, 3 Oracles once more. That Oracle being shooed away by the Queens joins up with another one. The Adepts notably are not moving across the map. We see a Roach Warren on the way for Sue. Potentially some Roaches this game, I wouldn't mind it. In comes the Oracles though, managed to grab 3 drone kills. Queen stepping off a creep, able to get some shots off. Couple of Lings, see those Adepts, Sue making some more Lings to deal with this now. Those Lings feed into those Adepts, that's not a great start. Queen's repositioning. Adepts using the Revelation to clear out those tumors, and they do complete their shade into the main base. The drones are definitely going to have to run here. A wall by Sue is able to stop those Adepts just wandering into that mineral line, actually allowing him to keep mining for a lot longer. And those Adepts do actually all get out this time. Stats potentially going to shade back on in. I don't think he will. Sue misclicks, shooting his own creep tumor. That is not good. Stops that at the last second. As far as the opening goes, though, I will wager to say that is better for the Protoss by a significant margin. Getting 11 drones in total, not losing the Adepts, and I don't think Stats got any stasis mining time during that. Looking at the Oracle's energy, it looks pretty darn high. But yeah, that is not a good sign for Sue. He's going to a very quick infestation pit here. I do wonder what that's for. We've got Stats just throwing up all the tech. With the Robo-Bay that he was going for here, I was wondering if he was building to some kind of timing attack. The Fleet Beacon and the Stargate makes me think not, and that he's just comfortable in the late game. We see Lings try and break through this Adept wall at the natural. We see a battery go up, 2 Stalkers warp on in. I do like that Sue's attempting to get something done, and oh my gosh, it's Swarm Host from Sue. I did not expect this from our Zerg friend here. 8 Swarm Host being morphed in. As I haven't seen these in so long, man. 11. I don't get a chance to watch as many pro games as I'd like, as I was able to back in the day where I barely missed one. That is incredible, though, that Sue's making these Swarm Host. Big fan, just for variety's sake. This Oracle narrowly missing these 4 drones at this base. That would have been some really good damage if Stats had found those. These Oracles scouting out. I'm not sure if the Swarm Host have been identified yet by the Protoss player. He's making carriers, though, so either way, those should be pretty darn good against them. And that's going to put Sue in an odd spot, because what does he have that's anti-carrier? The answer is his 6 Queens. He doesn't have a Spire started, no Hydra Den. Not that Hydras are particularly anti-carrier, so he's just going to have to try and keep the pressure on the Protoss. That's his only option. Finding this 4th base could actually be a really nice cancel. You keep that Protoss down on 6 assimilators for a longer amount of time. That is great for you as a Zerg. Those Swarm Hosts also got out of there nice and quick. As long as Sue can get off another wave or 2 to buy himself time, I think he'll be in an okay spot. Revelation tags those Swarm Hosts to deny Sue the chance to surprise Stats. Caster Muse joining us in chat. Hey there, Caster Muse. Falcon will be joining us relatively soon. He said he'd be an hour late, so we're burning through that quickly. Stalkers, blink forward, grab a Swarm Host, force out all the Locusts that are now going to run into that Stasis Ward. Well, almost all of them. Korean BR1. Welcome, welcome. We do have Sue getting up more tech. Probably just in time, if not a little bit late, as he's got 5 Hydras out up against what is currently a 4-carrier Protoss, and there's not that far of a distance for these carriers to go from third to third, so there's potential for damage there. We see these Lings attacking this Nexus. Not able to get it there. Big wave of Locusts coming on in towards the 4th as Su utilizes these bad boys incredibly effectively. Just able to catch stats off guard with these. Kills off one Assimilator, gonna get a Pylon. Gets a couple probes. That was pretty darn good. I know that, I believe, a few Swarm hosts died, 4 in total. I think that was the Oracles doing entirely. And so Su hitting stats in multiple locations, doing well off his economy with 6 hatcheries to his name. Soon to be anyway, 90 drones, very healthy. And the delay on that 4th base early on was very big. Getting this Assimilator, incredibly big, I'll say as well, for a Protoss that will be short on gas. Swarm host sneaking up to the top, making it right by the defensive stats once more. This could be even more damage done. If these Locusts can grab this 4th, that is going to be ginormous amounts of damage. There's 1 battery. We'll see if Su is able to target down the battery before it overcharges and heals this Nexus up too much. Stats does not even try to do that. That 4th goes down. We now see Lings and Roaches, basic units, but potential for big damage here by the Zerg coming on in as... yeah, Su is really committing on in here. These units could be a little bit trapped, so they are getting out of there. Denying a Protoss the 4th is like textbook. How you kill a turtling Protoss, though. You need a minimum of 4 bases. Looks like these Swarm hosts are getting killed off. I think Su is A-okay with that, though, as he fires up 19 Corruptors, aka a carrier-killing fleet. Or Armada? Flock, I suppose? I feel weird saying that it's a flock of mutas, of Corruptors, because we think of mutas in flocks, but I guess Corruptors are flying Zerg units too, so the name fits. We've got an Ultra Cavern on the way as well. Ultra's great at taking care of that ground army, while the Corruptors potentially kill the air army. And as far as anti-air goes for the Protoss, it's just these 20 Stalkers. They do have +2 attack. They are getting to +3 attack. So that's going to be really important, but no Psystorm or anything like that. Su, though, will have to kind of watch his ground army to make sure he doesn't overcommit to these Corruptors, that kind of thing, and get caught out by the large amount of Stalkers. Queens just happen to be in position as these Adepts run on in. That will require stats to shift-click down on those drones. That takes a lot of work. Of course, he's a very good Protoss, but the damage is by no means massive. A murder of Corruptors, I do like that. Okay, the Protoss stepping onto creep, saying, I hope you've got the exact composition you need to deal with this, as there is now Psystorm out for stats, so these Corruptors are not just going to be able to right-click on that, on those carriers. There's also a lot of Stalkers on the ground. Once they've got +3, that will be really big. So really just Lings and Banes, I think, are the way to go for the Zerg to deal with this. Of course, some Ultras potentially down the line. Still, though, a big attack coming on in for stats, and he's feeling confident. Su's got to be a little nervous. Su, once again, has yet to get another macro hatchery. He's got 77 larvae, though, so I guess he doesn't need it. As this game has been relatively passive. Not super passive, but passive enough, I suppose, that I can't criticize him there. But, yeah, no extra bases, so it is just 6 bases against 5 bases. In goes the Zerg, looking to pick off these carriers. Su just says, I'm going for it, pulling the trigger, and I think he's having success as far as the air-to-air goes. Kills off most of those carriers, has to get out of there with the Corruptors. He's got a couple lurkers here and there to fall back to, and that is a good trade for the Zerg, I believe. Or at least he'll have an easier time replacing that. Losing some of his his air supply means he's able to make infestors, get out some Ultralisk. Even transfusing the Corruptors, I love that. No Viper Infestor, really a Sue style. Mothership popping on out for stats. More carriers on the way. So we will rebuild those eventually. He's looking to test the waters, though, and I mean, attacking is really risky in this position where you're up against a Zerg that may want to turn aggressive at any time. Those Ultras getting their speed upgrade finished. Anabolic Synthesis. Stasis Wards catches a couple lings. Ultras moving forward. Ultras. One gets targeted down. A beautiful fungal on those Stalkers forces Psystorms to be dumped to try and save them, and they are pretty good Psystorms. Stalkers do still eat a few Banelings that roll forward, so a lot of them have perished. Corruptors working on the 1-2 carriers there, but there is enough for the Protoss. Morphing in Archons, able to force the Zerg back, and all in all, that was a pretty darn good trade. It's time for Sue to spend a lot of that larva he's got, and he's doing that Zerg thing where they're like, what am I going to make? It's like you're at the grocery store, but you haven't decided what you're going to have for dinner yet. So, yeah, Sue has to remake those units. And gets 5 Ultras, 8 Corruptors, 16 Banes, and has a good amount of money still, but also some supply. Still free to his name. He did lose his Infestors as well. Or, pardon me, he's actually got 2 still. He just doesn't have a ton of them. It's still 2 Infestors with the Fungals. Could be big. It opened up that door to that previous fight. Resources lost. Still not great for Sue. In comes Stats saying, have you rebuild everything? And the answer is Sue's got quite a bit to his name. Goes on in for an attack. Tosses down a Fungal after one of the Infestors dies way too early. We see these Corruptors getting some shots off on the carriers. Psystorms galore going down. There's still 3 carriers left in the sky, and Sue's army has just melted against this. So Stats' decision to attack has been rewarded, it seems, potentially with a victory. And Sue, he didn't really have his extra lurkers with this army. He was just fighting with partial supply. Now he brings them forward. And if those lurkers had been in the previous 2 fights, maybe that would have been enough to change things. Instead, we've got Sue, who's lost a base and is frantically making everything he can. A boatload of Lings against a lot of Archons. That isn't looking too good. And my gosh, that is just a lot of Lings against Archons. There's also the carriers still in the sky. Only 2 Corruptors against them. That one injured carrier does get targeted down. Looks like there's way too much Protoss, though, and Stats takes the 2-0 lead. Our third map of the day is going to be Hard Lead. Hard Lead? Let's not open that debate up again. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in to Afreeca World 111. It's a significant milestone, I feel. Triple-digit ones. Not too surprised by the results we've been having so far. I'm continue to be surprised, though, by how generous you guys are when it comes to supporting these pro players. You're always hitting up that Matcherino, as we have got a contribution coming in from Phoenix of War for $20. John Solo, another $20 contribution. Both of those guys also using the Matcherino coupon. And yeah, that is on top of Somicron's $15 contribution already. So thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. Make sure to go ahead, hit that 1-up button on the stream, and let's get into game 3. Potentially the last one if Sue can't pull it back. I hope he can. Either way, if Stats does win this, there's the potential that we get like a Shin versus Stats match, which I wouldn't mind, or Stats versus Gumiho. Either way, it would be great. All these players are great. Like, we could roll this as many ways as we wanted to, and we would have had a great matchup. These games have been good, regardless of the fact that Stats is coming out on top. In the top left, I've said his name already. Stats. And in the bottom right, he's a lot of people's favorite Zerg. It's Sue. I am glad we do have Shin joining us, because the Zerg list in Korea isn't super long, as far as the ones that are willing to play in online cups. It's pretty much always been Solar, Dark, and occasionally Sue. Sue's doesn't play all the time, though. It's really just been Solar and Dark for the most part. And so I'm glad that we have Sue playing. I'm glad we have Shin playing in particular, because he's played in like one before, but he almost always says no. Now he's hungry, though, and is like, all right, maybe he's on a better sleep schedule, and he can wake up to win some money. All of which these players get, by the way, just for playing, so that's good. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. I'm glad to see it. I'm excited when Falcon gets here. We can run over this patch. Exact same opening. You gotta love how players start upgrades, then cancel them, then start the tech they need, and then resume the upgrade. Like Stats just did there with Warp Gate research. That's a common Protoss thing, though. That amounts to absolutely nothing. Just one of the quirks. Ooh, a Goliath. I saw someone on Reddit saying, come on, Blizzard, just remove the Cyclone and add the Goliath. I've been saying that for a decade. If they did that, I'd be so happy. Give Terran like a mech ground unit that can just fight head on. And just trade out, you know. That would make a better mobile mech style. Like, we'd potentially have things like Medivac drops with Goliaths. But anyway, I don't know if we can ever get that, because that would be giving a new unit, well, an old unit, to one race and not the others. And there may just be enough screaming on the forums about that. Not that anyone would ever consider it. If Blizzard was going to do that, they'd have done that a long time ago. The Goliath, I think, is just a much more appealing unit than the Cyclone. Lock-on's gimmicky. Starcraft doesn't need more gimmicks. Not that it's getting anything new. Just... if it was a choice between the two, you know my answer. A Spore getting tossed on up in the face of this Oracle, moving on out. Keeping in mind that Stats has got pretty respectable damage done early on in all of these games that has set him up. He's now using a Revelation, able to get some creep tumors. Guaranteed creep tumors. Gets 2. Cancels the Shade. Still has enough energy on those Oracles to get damage done. Look at that. The Oracles have virtually the same energy after one uses Revelation. That's funny how the time works out. We got drones running for their life as the Oracles outposition Sue a little bit, get 3 kills, get on out of there. One-shotting those drones. More drones going down as the Oracles dive back on in, amounting to 6 with 0 losses for the Protoss. That's got to feel good for Stats and not so good for Sue. Sue's pumping out as many drones as he can, getting an Evo Chamber. I really liked the Swarm Host from Sue in the previous game, and I think they got enough damage done. Just things went sour when Stats had cleared creep so much, I guess, that allowed him to just attack. Sue not fighting with his few lurkers, like... taking a game-deciding fight with even missing 1 or 2 units, like, if you lose, that could have been why. And that could have been why. Oracle's cleaning up more creep. I will say Stats has been doing an incredible job of that. Queens, walking under the Oracles, get some shots off. Toss down those Creep Doomers once more. Is Protoss cleaning up creep? Proverbial cutting the grass? Does that make sense? Anyway, we've actually got stats moving out for an attack. Pardon my observing and not highlighting that. He has got out 5 warp gates, a lot of oracles, and is looking to push into Su's base. Su taking the pretty far forward base. It's going to be quite vulnerable. No choice but to cancel this for the red Zerg player. Su's going to try and save it, knowing that he doesn't want to be a Zerg that's down a base. Beautiful stasis ward goes down. So now he's losing units, loses the hatchery as well. Su is making a lot of roaches, a lot of ravagers to try and push this away. He's starting up another hatchery as well. Better late than never, I suppose, getting that 4th base up. But all in all, a great attack for stats. He's committed quite a bit to this. He's warping in more units. These Ravagers taking down this pylon would be big. The Ling buffer is going down. There's Corrosive Biles going down. Stalkers don't quite blink out of the way, so some damage is done. There's Queens, Roaches stepping off of creep here, and it's looking like a pretty good trade for the Protoss player. Stats wanting to go for the win, wanting to go to the finals, losing some of these Stalkers though. Corrosive Biles not quite getting the connections they need so far. Su is holding the line though, but he has lost a lot of supply. Gonna lose another 2 Queens for free as he takes his foot off the gas for a second, stops controlling his army. Does pick off a few of those Stalkers though, but Oracle's now feeling confident enough to activate their pulsar beams, chase down these few remaining Queens. There is some more in the back line though. A new Ling buffer steps forward, allows these Roaches to push away these Stalkers. Is there a Corrosive Bile on a warping in Stalker? Yes, there is. So that's some nice damage getting done, and that is a slow warp in, notably, so those Stalkers not joining the fight as quick as stats would like, but it might not matter as Su is really running down on supply, but actually it's not that low. Like, he doesn't have that many Roaches present right now, but he's making 15 more. He did get up that 4th base. That will help alleviate his larva crisis. He's getting his Queens back on his hatcheries to start injecting. We've got a 5th base going up for Su. And Stats hasn't had a transition for this planned until now, which makes you wonder if this was the right variety of Stalker push we wanted to see. Like, it was close, but there was only 5 gateways. There was no Prism, no Proxy, Pylon, and Gateway, so those Stalkers warping in slowly was a detriment to the push. All in all, Su held. Well done by him. He's now got a significant Roach supply. We'll see where he's going to take the game from here, as he is heading back up to that 5 bases. He's down on workers for now, though, so making lots of drones. Waiting for all those new larvas to pop. A Roach bit of harassment being planned for Su. If he can get some Roaches in, they kill probes pretty darn quickly. Hydra's being added, a bit of a supply block for the Zerg. Meanwhile, Stats having to take a bit of a breather as he warps in, or as he gets Psystorm, gets Charge, all the tech that he delayed. Okay, those Roaches do actually make it in. They were able to kill off that Stalker. Zealots are warping in to shut this down. The Oracles burning through their Pulsar Beam energy, meaning that the probe damage won't be too high. Su is targeting down some probes before this ends, however, so he gets 8 in total. Not terrible, not great. We also see this push going on the front while this is going on. Pardon my observing for missing that initial run by. There's a random Immortal walking way too far out on the map. Su pushing forward off of creep very far. He's now, however, got 6 lurkers in this army. He has not seen that the Protoss has a base here. He's probably putting 2 and 2 together. A good stasis ward goes down, however, though, and the way that Stats is holding this position, I think Su can infer there's a base there. He's not even seen it just yet, though. If he knew the base was there, would he push in? And he is going to push in regardless. In goes Sue. Lurker's burrowing. There's not too much anti-lurker here for the Protoss. Stats is planning a bit of a run by. He's got a Prism potentially being queued up towards the main. He's going to maybe lose his own fourth during this. So the Hydras deal so much damage if the Protoss tries to dive on top of this, and the Lurkers really zone this out. They've got that seismic spines as well, so that Nexus will perish. How's the counter damage looking, however? There's Roaches in position for Sue to deal with this. Prism warping in the main. Does Sue see this? Does he react? The answer is looking like yes. So the Zealot shouldn't get too much work done. The defense is coming together for Sue, and the offense certainly has as he takes down the fourth of that toss. And it's good to see that our Zerg boy is fighting back. He's fighting and fighting and fighting. I'm glad to see it. Psystorm hits some Lurkers, softens up these Zerg units. Sue wants to push up this solid wall ramp. If he can kill 4 gateways, that would not be insignificant. And with a lack of anti-lurker, that could really still be an option here. So Stats may need to replace those sooner rather than later. In come the carriers. Maybe enough to force this all the way back. Stalkers blink forward. Sue may be overstaying his welcome a little bit as there's Psystorm, there's carriers, and he's only got a handful of units here. I really think he is overstaying his welcome, but in comes the rest of his army coming into this attempt at a new 5th base or 4th base, as Stats has got 2 new bases getting set up. And so this is pulling the Protoss back. This Nexus still alive, probably going to stay alive as Sue had to pull his entire army back due to his Zealot run by. So Stats kind of saving his bacon there a little bit. Zealot's getting cleaned on up. Stats staying alive, got up 5 bases now. Roach run by, running into Zealot run by. I believe the Roach has come out on top of this. The +3 attack really cuts through those Zealots. Stasis wards getting tossed up. Shut down. Sue now knows of this extra base for the Protoss as he kills off this other location. And Lurkers are just moving forward. Setting up on top of this ramp, there's 4 carriers in the air, but not enough to seemingly shut this army down with ease. Stats now being bullied a little bit. Beautiful segmentation off of those Roaches, potentially trying to get some probes. With only 2 Roaches, but that can be where the damage really is. So we see a big engagement going down. Time Warp hits hard. Lots of the Lurkers, if not all the Lurkers, perish for Sue. These 2 Roaches did get like 5 more probes killed though, so that is really nice for the Zerg. He's also kept the Protoss on 4 bases, which I'd say is a minimum requirement at this point. As the main is starting to mine out, the natural will not be too far behind it and has already lost those low yield mineral patches. So that is really nice for Sue. He will need his own 6th base relatively soon. He's getting up lots of spores. I wouldn't even mind seeing a few spines go up. Zealot run by, moving in towards that 3rd once more. Stats just trying to buy time as he is very broke right now. I do want to see a 6 for Sue. It's going to be difficult with all these run-bys that the toss has been going for. But, no pun intended, sooner rather than later. That's what we need to see. Both players really on the minimum amount of bases right now. And no attempt at another one by Sue. We gotta see that go up soon. I guess Sue's just in defense mode, thinking of all the games that the Protoss has pushed him and he's died, which I definitely don't mind. He's been using Lurkers to great effect. He's now getting out Vipers. In comes the Protoss. Sue, though, lots of Lurkers to defend, no Disruptors to counter them. Still no 6. There's the Protoss is approaching that 5th base. One lurker attempting to run by, trying to get out of vision range of these cannons. It is still visible though, so it shall be able to be dealt with by just a few units. Lots of denied binding time. A Psystorm even went down. Not enough to kill the lurker though, so Stalker has to be warped in. Great abduction on that mothership will secure the kill. That is a nice move. Abduction on a carrier gonna potentially lead to a kill, and it does. We see the Protoss pushing forward into all these spores, into all these lurkers, and I don't think Stats understands just how far this backline is. He might though, and he may just not care, as of course the lurkers aren't the best against the Immortals. There's just also so much mass in the sky for the carriers, but how many interceptors do they have? Apparently not enough to damage down these corruptors quickly, and so these corruptors are able to kill off at least a few of these carriers. Is that going to be enough to keep Sue in this game? With 13 more corruptors on the way, what else are we going to see from Sue being made? He's going to need something to counter the inevitable Protoss ground warping, I feel. So I think he is going to need to make some more roaches, some more lurkers. More importantly, get up a 6 base or get some damage done to this Protoss with a counterattack, because man oh man, Sue is really pushing these bases to the limit that you can as a Zerg. And I mean, I guess it's not the worst in the world, because of course he's still got the gas geysers, which don't run out nearly as quick as the minerals, so he's just going to burn through his mineral bank. But we are seeing that income really start to fall, I think. Five to 5 bases. There's the 6th. There's the 7th. Sue finally expanding. You hope with being Zerg that trying to take 2 bases, a Zealot run by won't kill at least one of them. We also see these Vipers moving forward, looking for a good abduct. We'll see if that's going to happen or not. Those rocks in the middle still standing, denying that attack angle for the Zerg. And Stats is still pretty far from maxed out, so Sue can realize this, take a fight. Abduct goes down on an Oracle, that is nice. That's supply that Stats can't replace too darn easily. Of course it will be getting better with this 5th base really getting online. High Templar wanting to abduct that Viper. And here we see these rocks being worked on now. Sue opening up this attack path. Going to be looking for some blood. Revelation tags that Zerg army. Sue getting up both of these bases. As soon as creep spread, I'd love to see like 4 spores, or 4 spines, pardon me, at each base. That would be so nice to see for Sue. He's getting up lots of spores to defend his front, which may not be a bad thing, as the toss is stepping onto creep once again. Stats attacking potentially before he's even maxed out again. That mothership playing with fire. He was already abducted once. Here we see this base going down. There's also a Zealot run by moving towards the left. Does Sue respond? No, he does not. He's too busy dealing with this push on his front. He's got some roaches to defend this location. He did not move them in time, though, I feel, or at least it's going to be very, very tight if he can save this base. These are +3 Zealots. They are not right-clicked on this hatch. Stats corrects that, though, realizing he wants this hatchery dead, and he may just get it. It's going to be oh so close. The hatch stays alive. Of course, a small wind will kill it. While this is going on, there's a big attack on the front. There must have been an abduction on that mothership, as it dies, of course. I want to see Sue. There we go. Spines are going up. It's way too late for the spines. I think this is the point that you build another hatchery right next to this one and immediately start this base as well, because you are going to lose this base in the bottom left. There's no doubt about that, Sue. So I do want to see him take another base. We see Stats already securing up his 6th base, and if he kills this one of the Zerg, he will have a base lead, and so he can keep taking whatever trades he wants. Not that the trades have been terrible. He has reached that maxed out carrier army. Sue hasn't really got any damage done. Yeah, it's just a rough spot for the Zerg. We need to see another base go up for Sue. There we see. It's not easy to take him, but the investment is so minimal to have one building versus not having a base for the 71 seconds it takes for you to build a hatchery. +3 finishing up for that Protoss air fleet armada. Now we've got Sue moving on, or Stats moving on out. Sue's going to have to react to this. Looks like we've got a big lurker counterattack. This could be a nice move for the Protoss. or for the Zerg, pardon me. Lurkers setting up. They didn't go that deep, though, so they're not going to get any probes or the hatchery, even though they potentially could. Battery overcharge gets popped. While this is going on, the Protoss is just going to roll through this base, finish what he started earlier, kills off that hatchery, and Sue's in an odd spot of trying to deal with this almost unkillable Protoss armada. It's definitely doable. It's not easy for the Zergs, though, and you need to do a lot of things right. We've got 16 more Corruptors on the way, but the problem is there's 5 High Templar on the ground to drop down those Psystorms. There is Broodlords. There is Lurkers to hold the line for the Zerg. While this is going on, we do see that Nexus go down. That is a good amount of damage done by Sue. That is a minimum amount of damage done by Sue. Where are these Lurkers going now? Are they going to the top right? The Mothership recalls, actually, this Protoss fleet to try and catch these. Sue, how quickly is he going to reposition now? As Stats may be able to snipe this base to the right side of the map as Sue is frantically moving everything over. Lurkers repositioned. They are burrowed. There is spores reburrowing. Feedback hits the Viper, prevents an abduction. Okay. Stalkers looking to harass. Stats realizing that this standoff needs to be broken. So he's going for whatever he can. Lurker is going to burrow for Sue. Will potentially oust these Stalkers. Zerg moves in, eats a lot of Psystorms on these Corruptors. There's definitely more where that came from. 2 Broodlords to take down one of the Archons. As Stats is just moving around with this fleet, getting whatever damage he can done. It's like these Stalkers are working away on this hatchery, and it takes the Lurkers a long time to kill single Stalkers. And so this hatchery is actually potentially going to die. No, it is going to die. It's so close. One Stalker does get it. That is a big pain for Sue. Of course, he's not broke, so it's not the end of the world yet. But man, oh man, Stats and Sue, this series definitely is delivering. We see 4 Infestors on the way for Sue. Both these players are starting to scrounge under the couch for pennies, or it's going to be at that point soon. There's another base for Sue to take. He's not really mining that much at all, however. Down to 800 minerals a minute, so really his bank is what he's got. In goes Stats, looking to get some easy pickoffs, and these Spores and Lurkers are not cheap, yet they will go down like they're nothing. We see a Time Warp get tossed down by the Protoss, zoning out this Zerg army. Sue really needs Stats to get himself in a bad position. We see a Fungal catch a couple of those carriers, but it's that tale as old as time. The Protoss pretty much has that army and says, come on in, Zerg. Walk into my High Templar and see what happens. Your army will melt as I spam the T button. And that is exactly what tends to happen. So Sue, once again, knocked down a base. I was talking about these bases 10 minutes ago. Sue's still on the same amount of bases, pretty much. Stats lost that one Nexus, but he replaced it rather quickly. Sue needs a beautiful fight. He's looking for it. He definitely is, but time is not on his side at this point. The Zealot run-bys from Stats have been on point. Hard Lead is a map in which your last 2 expansions are so far away from each other that you need to defend both locations as the Zerg. Corruptors are sharking about, looking for an easy pickoff, but Sue's afraid to commit on in. Broodlords are coming forward. More Spores, more Infestors. Sue hasn't even attempted to rebuild this base till now. 71 seconds it takes for that to rebuild. Then you gotta wait for creep to spread, get up Spores, Crawlers. And the fact that Stats has denied Sue from taking this base early on, it was huge for him. In goes some Zealots. He's gonna run into some Queens. Sue can react to this. Is he gonna use a Fungal? Doesn't want to. Loses 2 Queens. Sue has almost no mining left. He's got 3 mineral patches, guys. That's it. He needs a god tier fight at this point in this game. Simple economics are not on the side of Sue. A little bit of long distance mining. Stats has built up a huge bank though. And yeah, he's warping in Stalkers. I love to see that. If you just trade out with gateway units at this point, even take a bad fight as the Protoss, or an okay fight as the Protoss and warp in some gateway units, the Zerg's gonna have a hard time dealing with you. In goes Sue, confident enough to attack in with these broods. Does he have any lurkers burrowed. He does, but the reason why this attack is working is because Stats is counterattacking with his Immortals, with his Stalkers on the ground. What does Sue have to deal with this? He brought back just the Infestors to deal with this. Neural Parasiting 2 of the Immortals. A Lurker is repositioning. Sue's losing a lot of his critical infrastructure. He got a push. He killed a base, but I don't think that's worth losing these critical larva bases, being in such an awkward position. I think he even lost an Infestor to one of those Immortals. He's potentially now going to lose a lot of Infestors. Baits those Stalkers forward. Good Fungal goes down on them. The problem is, though, that Stats can afford to replace those units like they're pretty much nothing, whereas Sue, he's got to think about every unit he makes, every unit he loses at this point in the game. He realizes, oh man, I'm out of gas. I better take these geysers. And he does not even clean up these Immortals yet. Oh man, what a situation for our Zerg to be in, who's against the ropes, by the way. Sue gets an Abduct on a carrier. That's quite nice. Doesn't need a Psystorm in the process. He's hoping for a miracle, but he's got to be the one to create it. Lings are moving out now, trying to deal with these Immortals, but there's so many Stalkers for the Protoss. These Lings do not have that good of upgrades. As a matter of fact, they have no upgrades. These are not Adrenal Lings. These are not +1 melee Lings. These are garbage. And Stats is +3 Stalkers with the shields and the armor are just unopposed. Sue loses his base. He's going for one final hurrah. In the end, the consistency of Stats, the thing that's been his defining trait, his career, he just plays a game out, does not give any ground, and was able to take down Sue. I think it's safe to say at this point. Well done by the Protoss player. GG. And that is going to be Stats taking a 3-0 against Sue. Beautifully done. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe Falcon Paladin is back, so hooray for that. And that means we are going to be co-casting our upcoming series. It's going to be Shin taking on Gumiho in what should be an action-packed TVZ. If you guys enjoyed this series and you want to support the players, you can do that for free on Matcherino, pressing that contribute button, claim code. It adds money to the prize pool just for free for these players. Doesn't cost you a cent. And yeah, it'll be a great TVZ we have coming up next. Not going to bring Falcon on right now just because we're going to be having a break, but he will be there, or should be there, when we come back. So I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and we have got that familiar face, Falcon Paladin, joining us.
Hey,
Welcome.
I made it. I'm glad that I'm here. Yeah, I'm glad that stats moved on because I do want to cast some stats today.
Yeah, stats is always a treat to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, he is back to the old stats right now. That's certainly the case. Man, I watched him against Dark in GSL, and holy smokes, is he a monster now again.
I didn't get a chance to watch it, unfortunately, but I checked the results and I was like, well, that's interesting.
He's just, yeah, he's just burning people down, man. He's patient. He makes good trades. He makes incredibly good decisions. Like, I don't know what we want from this guy, so...
That is exactly how I describe the last series of Stats versus Sue. He was very patient.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yep.
make any mistakes, and he just put Sue into this unwinnable position over time.
Yep. So, I mean, it's good. Protoss need a savior at this point. Looks like stats could be it. So,
Turns out we just had to wait for Stats to come back from the army. Problem
Yep.
solved.
which I think we could have guessed.
Yeah, it's because it's like out of all the consistent players, like it's like, well, if he puts in the work, and he has. So, in the
Yeah,
bottom
100%.
left, on the map Solaris, it's Gumiho.
What's up, John Solo? And in the top right, it is Shin, formerly known as Ragnarok, the Korean Zerg, who is not going 16, 18, 17. He went pool first here. So, maybe a little bit of aggression with these Lings against a 2-Rax opener here from Gumiho. Are there going to be Reapers? Yes, it is.
This is terrible for the Zerg, is it not?
Yeah, slow Lings versus Reapers are super horrible.
Like,
So,
yeah.
prepare to lose all of your Lings and maybe outright lose the game here, Shin.
Okay, game one. I mean, it's by no means not over.
No, but I mean, I don't know if there's anything like a 100% build order loss, but this is like a 60-70% build order loss. This is just tough, man.
Yeah,
The hard wall, the multiple Reapers, the slow Lings, the fact that they're not going to have speed anytime soon. I mean, the Roach Warren's nice. Roaches are going to help here. I'm not going to say no to Roaches, but like, these Lings are just useless right now.
yeah, and the economy of Shin is garbage, ladies and gentlemen. That's what this all comes
Yeah.
back to. You might think, oh, Gumiho's cheesing. It's great for Shin. No, it's not, because
Nope.
this is like the worst thing you can do, because he sacrificed his economy early on. Now he's got to make stuff to defend, so he doesn't have much of an economy to fall back on, and it's just a bad spot.
Losing 2 drones already, and like Slowling's trying to get through a wall that's being repaired with Reapers behind it's impossible. I mean, hats off to Shin for trying, man, but yo, 2 drones down. No drones at the natural here. Okay, so now we're sending some over, but what's defending them? Like 1 queen? Yeah, and those those Lings are dead. We've got Roaches on the way, but Roaches a little bit too slow to handle Reapers. Getting hit by
Yeah.
Reaper grenades.
The
Oh,
Terran has so much heads up when when they open 2 racks against a Zerg that's going for roaches. They're like, oh, I guess I'll just grenade these roaches until they bounce off the map.
yeah. I mean, you kind of feel sad for him, right? You're like, these Roaches should be able to just directly counter these Reapers, but like they're fast enough. Ooh, he did lose one there, but both Roaches are so 2 Roaches for a Reaper is a horrendous trade.
Yeah, that is just terrible for the Zerg. You gotta give it to Shin. He does have the 3rd on the way, so he's like, well, guess I'll macro. But
I mean, what else can he do here? Marauders coming in, Concussive Shell just finishing up here.
Oh,
Roaches
no.
are going to be terrible against this. And yep, you can 2-shot drones if you've got 3 Reapers.
he doesn't have
Bam.
those 3 Reapers
Ooh.
for long, but still.
2 more drones down. Even worker count here for Gumiho and Shin.
Yeah, that is not good for the Zerg.
All right, so it's into Marines and Marauders from here. Yep, you can open up Mass Reaper and just go right into Marine Marauder if you're Terran. If you don't do this on the ladder sometimes, then you should. It is super hard for Zerg to handle. That's certainly the case.
It really is. It totally forces the Zerg's hand into certain play styles, and there's going to be stim in 60 seconds.
Yeah, and so this is a timing attack. Yep, stim timing attack here. We don't have any medevacs yet. That did delay the presence of a starport. There's one on the way here, but that's going to be medevacs in, I don't know, a minute or two. So this is just going to be Marines Marauders with Concussive Shell, with stim. Going to just try to end the game here. And if not, we've got some medevacs we can fall back into. Maybe go for a third base. But I mean, yeah, it's what, 4 roaches with 5 more on the way here. This is, it's just not going to work out.
The concussive shell is just like, oh, I can't do anything.
No, you can't retreat, you can't kite. They're doing extra damage to you because you're a roach. And yeah, so the roaches are all dead, getting basically nothing done here. Maybe a marine goes down. Queens are dying. They can't retreat because of the concussive shell. I mean, roaches are just dying one by one here. Yeah, I mean, the marines aren't holding up super well against the roaches. That's to be expected, but the marauders are just crushing. Yeah, and the stutter step, and the roach comes in and gets a single shot off and then is dead. Creep tumor down. That roach is like, I don't want none of this smoke. But we have to distract. This third base is going to go down. Just continuing to make roaches here. Beautiful. He is kind of cleaning this up. He is forcing Gumiho back at the very least with the roaches. I'm surprised I don't see any Ravagers here.
Yeah,
it just doesn't quite have the resources to go for that.
Yeah, too broke. You gotta love it though. Like how well Gumiho's done this. Like I think at this point Gumiho's probably wondering like, why are you still in this game almost? Like Zergs do not win from this point.
Not really, no. Again, the Marines are pretty garbage against roaches in this situation. It's just the stim plus them, and now we have medevacs. So I mean, this is just 8,000 times better than the first attack. The healing potential here is through the roof. Roaches are kind of one-shot volleying down these Marines, but the Marauders stay, and that's GG. Game 1.
GG. Just like that.
Gumiho gets it. Yeah, like I said, 80% build over loss. You open pool first slowlings into a 2 Rax Reaper opening, and you might survive for 6 minutes, and probably less time than that, but you're not getting much more. Game 1 goes to Gumiho. I mean, not doing anything too crazy either. I think Beyond popularized this build last year sometime. Zergs have been seeing it all over the ladder. It's nothing too crazy from him. It's not like it's a Gumiho out-of-the-box build. It's just a very strong one, and it's better against a pool first opening from a Zerg, and that's exactly what Shin went for, and he was punished for it. So, tough stuff for sure. We're going to be on Site Delta for game number 2. We'll see if Shin doesn't have a straight-up build order loss here in game number 2. That would be nice if we get a bit of a more macro game, perhaps. But it's Gumiho, man. He can play macro games, but he is extremely comfortable not macroing and doing stuff like that.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see how well Shin can do in a game that he's not just behind from the start.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fair to evaluate anybody who just picks the wrong build and loses a game. Like, come on. Everybody's done that at some point.
And here he is representing good gaming, I want to say. It's Shin.
I think that's it. Bottom right, it's our guy Gumiho. We know Gumiho. He's very fun. I mean, I think that describes Gumiho more than anything else, really.
Yeah. For a long time, he was just, like, the fun Terran. But now for, like, the past few years, he's been the fun but deadly Terran as well. Like, he's done so well while still keeping his flair.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He used to be fun in that he would beat better players with weird stuff. But if the weird stuff didn't work, he didn't have a follow-up. He couldn't really transition very well into a mid or a late game. So he would lose a bunch of games that way. And now his macro is insane. It's top-tier, elite-level stuff here for Terrans these days. So you can't just be like, Gumiho did something silly. If I defeat it, I win. Nope. He's going to have a third base. He's going to come at you. He's going to be dropping. He's going to be doing all sorts of crazy Terran stuff. You can't just deal with the craziness and then win anymore. And he's playing for Cloud9 Gaming these days. So, Gumiho says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's go 2 racks opening on 1 base here. This time, it is a hatch first into a pool from Shin.
Yeah.
Still doesn't have any gas, intriguingly. Not going hatch gas pool today. Yeah, getting the gas now, but that pool is like 55-60% done, so we're not going to have speedlings anytime soon.
Yeah, we will see, for those of you not super up to date, we will see such a contrast in as far as how well Shin can hold these Reapers based off the build he's gone for, though.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's still slow lings and queens, man. I just
Yeah. It's still gonna
maybe
it's still gonna be a lot better though.
certainly. I mean, economically, like you said in the last game, he was so behind on economy, it was tough. But just the hatch first gives him so much more access to larvae, to drones.
Yeah, having the queen out early on is a big one too.
Yeah, certainly. So Reaper comes in. Lings are out of position to do anything about this. I don't know where those lings are going. Would have been nice to have them here, though, but I guess the queen pops out. Now, it's a lot harder to get drone kills with the queen shooting at you from a range of 4 here.
Crazy micro on both sides trying to playing ring around the rosy. One dead drone. 2 dead drones as the second Reaper comes on in to secure those kills. We do have lings on the other side of the map for Shin.
Yeah, but not happening. Sorry, guys.
Nope.
Good effort, though.
Would have been better if they were at home buffering against those Reapers.
Absolutely. Maybe these drones wouldn't be dead if they were home. Instead, they go across the map. Again, like, I don't know what you're going to get done with slow lings across the map in 2024, man. Like, when's the last time, Shin, you sent 4 slow lings across the map and against a Terran and got anything done?
I mean, knowing
Are
Shin...
you matching up against Diamond players? Like, what's going on here?
Knowing Shin probably last night on ladder, but that kind of defines his playstyle. He's the guy who always commits to the thing that doesn't work 100% of the time, but... Yeah, the problem is when it fails hard, so... Oh man, these Reapers can totally gun down this hatch, can't they?
Yeah. If they got in here a little bit later, probably not. But at this stage, that's a cancel. With Reapers, that's brutal. Man, Gumiho is just, he's like, why is this working so well?
Oh no, not a queen too.
Queen 2. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This, okay, well, this base is going to get canceled as well.
Oh my gosh, this is going as horrible as it possibly can for Shin, even if all these Reapers get killed.
Ooh, look at the speed. Hop up, guys. Is that
Or
hop
just
up?
place perfect grenades and trade out pretty darn well.
Still, yeah, trading pretty well. Lost 2 of the Reapers. That was an incredible juke there. Holy smokes. Another one goes down, and okay, so Shin has dealt with his Reaper problem, but not after they've gotten insane amounts of value.
Yeah. Gumiho potentially could have killed or canceled that hatch if he'd right-clicked on it. Of course, it would have meant not killing the lings. Last-minute judgment call, not going to fault him for that.
I would have gone for the hatch. John Solo, what is whose name? This is, yeah, Shin. He used to go by Ragnarok, but he goes by Shin now. And Gumiho has been Gumiho for a while, so I'm not sure what your question is.
Shin was also going to change his name to something else at some point that was, like, terrible.
Oh, man. Okay.
But then I think he changed it. Maybe, I don't think it was Shin. This was...
If you look at Liquipedia, it's just Shin at this point, so...
Yeah, it was like 6 years ago or something, like back before WCS region lock.
Yeah.
Or no, after that, when players had to reside in a country to participate. And he's like, Psystorm Gaming, I think, was going to bring him over. And Shin's like, I'm going to change my name from this awesome... Ragnarok to something else. And everyone's like, no, don't do that. And he held off at least for a while.
Well, that's good to see.
But,
Reminds me, there's an NBA player named Kevin Durant. He's been in the league for like 12 years. And people are like, he's this 7-foot shooter. He's like just super tall and amazing shooter. And people are like, your nickname should be Slim Reaper. And he's like, no. And everyone's, what? That's amazing. He's like, I want you to call me the Servant. And everybody's like, what? That's like 1,000 times worse. What is wrong with you, KD? So some people just have no sense of what a good name for them should be in situations like this, I guess. Ugh. Overlord gonna go down, no problemo. 60 to 49 workers. Shin at least is at a 60 drone economy at this stage. He's rebuffed that drop quite nicely. Try to get some Hellions in there. So Shin is past the 6-minute mark now and in a much better position than he was in game 1, despite losing those early links for nothing. Gumiho's adding siege tanks into the mix, working on 1-1 for those Marines. Medevac tries to drop into the main base. There are lings again, ready to surround every Hellion as they come out of that Medevac, so nothing doing there. There's even creep spreading and a 4th base coming in from Shin as Gumiho's 3rd base is kicking it. Armory's not quite here yet, so you can't Hellbat those Hellions. Also, there's 100 Queens here, so that's not happening anyway. Even if you do have some of those Hellbats. Centrifugal Hooks on the way, 1-1 for the Lings, 18 more Lings getting fired up. He is getting ready for the 7.5 minute timing attack that comes from every Terran at this stage of every TVZ. And he's just going to have some Banes, he's going to have Queens, he's going to have slow Banes and Lings and Queens. And this creep spread getting knocked out is not game ending, but it's not good either. Great surround, that's a pickup. That is a pickup and abandon a couple of your Marines. Getting surrounded and having slow Banes waddling into your face is always a death sentence.
Yeah, not great.
Even if they're not fast, if you're not moving, they can get you. Yeah, Hellions, no, definitely not. A couple shots off on that medevac is pretty good. And infantry armor level 1 finishing up here from Gumiho. So Shin looking a lot more formidable here in game number 2. Good transfuses on the Queens. None of the creep Queens die, which is huge. And then the Lings show up, forces surround. It's another pick off and a retreat. Gumiho has another attack heading up the right side with a couple siege tanks this time around. But considering what we're looking at here, it's a ton of Lings with 1-1. Banelings speed finishing up in 10 seconds. And Hellbat transformation fine, but they still take bonus damage from Banes. Yeah, I think Shin's going to be able to handle this unless he sends a lot of his army across the map, which is kind of what he's doing right now. So third base is in a lot of trouble. Let's see if Shin can hold on to his fourth base in the meantime. As, yeah, he's forcing those dudes back. Lings are like, nah, don't quite like that position there.
Oh,
Gumiho! Terrible pickup. He got 2 guys into those medevacs. Siege tanks notwithstanding. 12 SCVs go down. And I don't know, this position is not that threatening from Gumiho at this stage. Like the Lings come back, like, are there any SCVs in the third base? No, awesome. We're leaving now. I might want to throw a transfuse on that hatch at some point, but once again, no, that tank positioning is
beautiful.
Nasty. Yeah, with the Hellbats behind him too. Oh, that's so hard to get Banelings in there to crash through those Hellbats, man. Yeah, honestly, there we go. Transfuse on the hatch. Siege tank's getting some decent shots off here.
Yeah,
this
Gumiho,
is just traditional dance, though.
He's just, this is the definition of abusing, basically.
Yep. Man, I'm just siege tank. 21 kills on that siege tank.
My gosh.
14 kills on his buddy. I mean, good grief.
Big stim forward for Gumiho. He's looking to push it, and he is going to get this hatch. The Baneling count has really fallen here for Shin. Loses the hatch. He does have another one, another 2 actually, that are southern, so I love to see that.
Okay.
He's still got to deal with this attack, though.
Yeah, I mean, losing that base, losing that attack, it was such a patient move from Gumiho, too. Goes in, takes some HP off the hatch, pulls back to the tanks, goes in, takes some HP off the hatch. He did lose a bunch of Marines to a nice Baneling hit there earlier, but let's see. Okay, so one of the tanks gets wiped out. Another one. Okay, all the tanks go down. Gumiho picks up. Maybe he's going to boost into the main base where there's a Liberator already, which the Hiders have to deal with, and the medevacs don't want to go in there because there are Hiders and Queens ready to rock. So, okay, so further pushing from Gumiho. Looks like it's ended for now. He is 3 base in it, working on +3 attack with +3 infantry armor as it's Hydroling Bane across the board from Shin.
Yeah, Gumiho pivoting now towards those other bases for Shin. He's also going to poke towards the top here, so really going to test the multitasking of his opponent. It's just Hydras and Banes to the north to defend here. We'll see if they can deal with this without trading out too poorly.
Yeah, that's the trick. It's this first 7 to 10 to 12 minutes of the game where the Zerg player doesn't quite have a lot. They're still trying to drone up, still trying to expand. Can be very, very tricky. A handful of Marines splits off down there to go after the 5th base. But that doesn't leave quite enough to keep that tank alive. And I mean, these guys aren't killing this hatch anyway. So I don't know exactly what that play was from Gumiho. Not a huge fan of it. Banelings rolling around. Oh gosh, getting some decent connections. The creep needs to be connecting these bases, but Gumiho setting up here makes it pretty much impossible to do that. Nice target fire on those Banes, but could have taken a couple hits there. Yeah, medevacs are going down. That's a good metric of if you're defeating your Terran player or not by how many medevacs you're killing.
Yeah, and I will say Shin has been doing a phenomenal job, all things considered, defending this.
Yeah, losing the 4th base wasn't hot, but from this point on, or that point on, the double expand has really paid off for him. A couple transferring drones die again. Having creep connecting these bases would be awesome. Oh, man. These Marines don't even have the 3-3 yet. They are taking hits from the Hydras. Reinforcements cruising in again. This base is not going to die. And Shin just scrapping and holding right now. He's got about the same army value of Gumiho. He's pushing across the map here. He's got Hydra sniping tanks. Medevac's targeted. Yep,
Yeah.
Medevac targeted down in the forward. This is not looking good for Gumiho.
No, it's not. He's a 3-base Terran that's been committed for the past 4 minutes to an attack that has not succeeded. Shin has taken an incredible trade, defended super well, and now all of a sudden Gumiho's pulling SCVs into Hydralisk. That is not what you want to do as a Terran. Looks like he will hold on for now, but there's not a lot of redeeming factors for the Terran.
No, this is really bad. 62 to 45 army supply, worker count heavily favoring Shin. He's at 73 drones. I think this might just be enough. We're trickling Marines out here, trickling siege tanks. They're not sieged up. Lings being added into the comp here with the Hydras are incredibly good. You don't even need Banelings in a situation like this. There aren't huge groups of Marines. These are groups of 4 to 5 Marines, and I think Gumiho might just be dead.
Wow. A phenomenal comeback by Shin.
What a hold and comeback. I thought losing that 4th base, he was super in trouble, and he probably was, but man, the comeback there was impressive against Gumiho here. What part of it is, he kept a lot of his drones alive, right? Losing the hatch is a problem, but if you keep your drones alive and manage to double expand behind it, you can kind of recover, and that's exactly what he did. Gumiho kind of sat at about 58, 60 workers, 3 bases, wasn't going to expand, kept trying to push and push and push and push, and kind of a sunk cost thing. But, man.
I cannot gush over that double expand enough. Like, he got that done as early as he possibly could. So he had those bases to expand to. Gumiho himself didn't expect Shin to have that base until he revealed it with a drone transfer. So it just goes to show how fast it was that he got up that new 4th and the 5th. Like, that is one of the signs that I think shows someone's playing really well, is having those timings down.
Yeah, I mean, that was... we should see more Zergs try that, man. If you're going to lose your 4th base with that kind of an attack from a Terran, just double expand.
Oh, I mean, it wasn't... Sorry.
Just hope the Terran doesn't see it, right?
It wasn't the 4th or the 5th that... Or no, it wasn't the 4th in the previous series for Sue, but, like, Stats was looking to kill off Sue's 5th or 6th, I think it was, and it's like, Sue, you have 2,000 minerals in the bank. Why are you not taking another base or 2?
Right.
And it's
you
one
have
of those
to recover.
things. You always have to have a spare if your opponent's looking to kill one of your bases.
Right. And if it's going down no matter what you do, you got to have something ready to go with that. So Alcyone, bottom left, going to be Shin.
Yeah.
He looked kind of out of it game 1 and the first 5 minutes of game 2, but he's here tied up with Gumiho.
Yeah, and the fact that this series is 1-1, so if you surprises me a little bit based off the opening of game 2, but really, really well done.
Absolutely. I mean, crazy impressive stuff.
Gumiho gearing up for a command center first play.
And you know, what's funny is that would have been hard countered by the pool first that Shin went for in game 1. But in this case, totally fine. And that's the thing. Terrans, again, on the ladder, if you're not going command center first against Zerg every once in a while, what are you doing? It's so good. And you can get away with it too because, I don't know, Zergs aren't going to drone scout. Maybe, you know, at your level, Platinum, Diamond, right? Maybe they'll drone scout on you because it's not going to hurt them as much. But professional Zergs and higher level GM level Zergs will not drone scout you. So you can get away with this. They won't even know what's happening until it's too late to do anything about it. And it's just good. There's no reason to go 1 racks expand every single TVZ.
Even by the time the Zerg scout, like, there's literally no losing for this with the Terran. Unless it's like that early pool into Roach, I find. Even if it's an early pool, the command center finishes often by the time the lings are across the map. So
Yeah, definitely.
it's like there's no canceling it for Zerg. It's just
Nope.
the only time you can punish it is if you happen to be going roach aggression. That's it.
Yeah, if you blind counter it with no information at all, in which case, congratulations on your win. The first best of 5 Ace SC2 was won by Stats.
Yeah, 3-0 for Stats over Sue. He's waiting to play the winner of this series.
Because Stats is a monster. Protoss fans, rejoice! Your king is back. Is that a third? Yep, third CC, 244. Loving it.
Yeah. When Terrans are just like, how do I follow up my incredibly greedy command center first?
More greed! Oh, amazing. All right. Starport coming in back home from Gumiho 2. Probably nothing crazy. Probably maybe a Liberator, a Viking into medevac production. Honestly, I don't know why more Terrans just don't go a Viking. Like, Zergs have nothing to defend their overlords out on the map, and those overlords being dead is a major problem for Zergs. So, like, honestly, investing in a Viking just seems like something you should always do. There's just nothing... There's nothing a Zerg player is going to do to punish you for making a Viking. There's just not.
Yeah, Ragnarok has three overlords moving across the map right now, so you're definitely right about that.
Yeah, and all Zergs are going to do it. I mean, Zergs are going to send overlords out for perching, for scouting. They're just going to leave them out there and put them in spaces where Marines can't kill them. And
Wait, oh my
put 'em
gosh,
in
he got
dead
Pneumatized
airspace.
Carapace, the madman.
What?
Yeah, Shin is the Zerg that does this.
I mean, Cyril does it, and Raynor, I've seen them do that sometimes. If they really want an early scout on their Terran opponent, which I guess he does. And look, it's a Viking. So he scouts the early third CC. I love that. Scouting the early third
it's
CC and
huge.
being like, let's toss down a fourth.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, that's nice. Or maybe try to punish the early third, but it looks more like we're droning. So where's your fourth, man? Shin, you have to either like make a ton of stuff here or you need a fourth base, man. Ooh, Roach Warren. Okay. I mean, that counts as stuff, I guess.
Yeah, it's the Shin way. We'll see if he goes for that fourth as well, or if he is just like, all right, let's kill him.
I mean, honestly, 3 base Roach Ravager against a really fast third base like this from Terran is pretty strong.
It definitely is, and Shin is the guy to do it, so...
Except the trick is 2 Banshees kind of shut that all down. And if Gumiho's got the starport already. I mean, if he just wants to make a couple Banshees here for safety's sake,
No Banshees.
he will be fine. But no, he's reactoring his starport. No Banshees for you, sir. Yeah, this could be dangerous. I don't feel like I've seen a good old 3 base Roach Ravager all in this matchup in a while.
No,
You're just getting a 4th base.
I
Shin.
love this, because like this is just off the back of that early scout. And who knows, maybe he isn't going for that aggression, but based on how late his 4th is, he's got to be prioritizing a timing attack.
That Widow Mines? What? Sure, we're Widow Mine dropping at 5 minutes into TVZ. That's Gumiho, I guess. He just leaves that Widow Mine there. Oh gosh. Oh, look at the unburrow and then the reburrow.
Ooh.
Okay, 4 drones down for that hit. Acceptable. Yeah, I mean, Gumiho, man. It's cute, I guess.
Yeah.
So Roach is coming out 1-1 for those Roaches. Going to be a big Roach Ravager kind of early to mid game here.
It also functions as a scout, but man, yeah, it's just going to be roaches on the menu here for Shin, I feel. No roach speed started, funnily enough. Just slow roaches. There's the...
There we
wheel.
go.
And that
Yeah,
times out
after he's-
perfectly.
Yeah, not bad at all. I'd love to see some Ravagers. I don't know why he's refusing to make Ravagers today. I guess it's not too late at this stage of the game. He could definitely do it here. I just remember game 1, no Ravagers at all, and I was kind of like, that would be pretty good. Gumiho says, I'm just going to step deep onto your creep if you don't mind. And then say, never mind. Being on creep is a terrible idea, and back completely off. Yeah, seriously. Roach. No Ravager. I'm not telling you to make all Ravagers. But Ravagers have extra range. They're great. And Corrosive Bile and stuff.
Hey!
It is time for the Ravager. Shin's like, okay, Falcon, stop badgering me about it. I'll make some stupid Ravagers.
Gumiho does not have a single tank
It's a problem.
against a soon-to-be 1-1 Zerg with 1 trillion roaches and Ravagers coming his way.
1-1 Roach Ravager timing.
That is not good, though, going up that ramp. Ravager first.
Nope. Even Roaches aren't doing
And
particularly
fighting
well
before
here.
1-1 up that ramp. That is a terrible early trade for Shin.
Yeah, the sheer damage output of a ton of stimmed Marines like that is with 1-1 no less. Or +1 attack anyway.
They do not have combat shield. Now they do. This is a trade that Shin may be okay with, but no, he's just got to go all the way home. That failed hard.
Did he drop stuff in Gumiho's main? What's that?
He did, but while this was going on, there was also a... yeah.
He Baneling drop? 12 SCVs went down. That's got to be Banes.
There's no... It was Roaches. There's no Baneling Nest, I guess.
Holy smokes, you're right. Roaches, I guess. Both players doing crazy shenanigans in each other's bases here. Hellbats inside a medevac.
Yeah,
Pushing
that's
the front
really,
here.
really redeeming for Shin, because that knocks Gumiho down a critical threshold of workers.
That's not a fight I don't think Gumiho wants to take.
No.
Yeah, he's backing out. He's going to try to boost into a position where these Roaches and Ravagers can access very easily because they can't fly.
Yeah, Gumiho's going to be feeling a little bit awkward now. He's got not a great economy. Like, I apologize for my observing, but missing those 12 dying SCVs was huge. You add 12 to his worker count right now, he'd be at 70, which is enough for constant Terran production. He's going to be feeling a little bit broke right now. And Shin, he took a good trade there to kind of redeem his earlier one.
And he's at 74 drones, which is a beautiful number to have. He's adding in Hydras, Hydroden finishing up, Infestors on the way. A little bit of fungal here would never hurt anyone, that's for sure. I love just keeping these medevacs threatening on this bottom half of the map. Just making Shin pay attention to that while not being able to commit fully to what this frontal attack is either. This is tough for Shin to handle. Gumiho is just kind of bullying. But look at that queen. Yeah, that's the thing. No, you're not getting in the main base with those. There are 12 queens in there. This is great. Shin just handling it way, way better than a lot of Zergs would. This is pretty fantastic.
Oh,
But free Roaches are free. Ravager goes down too there.
Keep in mind, Gumiho is
fungal!
fighting without a large chunk of his Marines because they were in that medevac. They're unloading in the middle of that fight. That's really awkward. We are seeing a good trade for Gumiho.
He needs another fungal. Shin needs one so bad, but he just doesn't have the energy or the infestor count for it. He's got the high ground position. The upgrades are helping him quite a bit, but army value 81 to 68 and stutter stepping forward is Gumiho.
No way.
Reinforcements
oh my gosh.
coming in. And that's GG, Gumiho.
Wow.
I'm just not a big fan of Roach Ravager. I know we talk about this every time we cast the ZBT together.
That's okay. Like,
It's my least favorite thing because it just seems like that happens more of the time. It's like, oh, you got Roach Ravager against Marine Marauder with Stim, Combat Shield, Medevacs, and oh, all your Roaches and Ravagers died. Like, what was that? You tried to handle it without any splash damage at all? Silly Zerg. What are you trying to do?
yeah, things did, like, in that fight, there was a time which Gumiho was maybe fighting with, like, a fifth of his army against the whole Terran army. So he threw some units, or where Shin was fighting against the Terran army with, like, a fifth.
Yeah.
So that was just, like, a small micro decision that definitely compounded. And then just the other thing, Gumiho did not make a single tank that game.
Nope.
He had all of his money, 100% of it, going towards Marine Marauders and Medivacs so he could take a head-on fight like that.
Exactly. The mobility, the sheer damage output. You don't have any splash damage, but neither does the Zerg, so whatever. God, that was awesome. Well done. I mean, that's the power of Terran. Never count them out until they're out. You can kill their SCVs. You can hurt their economy, but they are not dead until they are dead. That's exactly what Gumiho showed. The fungal is exactly what Shin needed. He just needed more of it.
Oh, yeah.
One fungal was great, but if he could have another, like, 2 fungals, I think that battle goes a lot differently.
Yeah, and if Gumiho gave Shin another 30 seconds, he would have had more fungals. So
Right.
great timing by the Blue Terran there. And here he is on match point.
And in the top left, it's Shin going Extractor. Nope, Extractor Trick to 15 out of 14 available supply, doing some shenanigans into a 15 hatch. So I've seen like Raynor and Cyril do this. Oh, it's a proxy hatch?
It's a gold? Is there a gold on this map? Yes, there is.
All right.
Leave it to Shin.
Like, yeah, he's like, my back's against the wall. Gotta do this, man. And I watched a great video Harstem uploaded where he had Raynor coaching him on how to do this kind of thing. Like, hatch first, take the gold, try to win the game that way. Good stuff. Raynor's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very charismatic.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, there's more risk of that being scouted by the Terran, because Terrans will SCV scout after barracks a lot of the time. And if the SCV gets across the map and says, you don't have a hatchery, and your pool timing isn't particularly fast, then he'll check the gold base without a doubt. So
yeah.
the question is whether Shin can hang on to this. Gumiho should scout it here in the next couple minutes, but that's no guarantee.
CV, yeah, no SCV scout from Gumiho, so.
Ooh. Okay, Shin gets away with it. That's massive to just get away with that. Yep. Look at him transferring these drones out. It's lost mining time, but it's more than made up by the fact that that's a gold base. This is great from Shin.
And we'll see if Gumiho goes directly across the map with the Reaper or what. Sometimes Terrans do funny things with their Reapers because they get a little nervous.
That's true. Reaper heading on out. Not a care in the world. Taking a pretty direct path here on Equilibrium, which I think a lot of players have vetoed, so I'm glad to see it showing up in this series. Yeah. I like it. I mean, players do seem to dislike maps where you spawn on the same side as your opponent. Top, left, right, whatever.
Yeah, is it just me or is this map a little dark?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
The
Equilibrium is a dark map.
I did 100%. A cast on it the other day, and someone's like, why is it so dark? And I'm like,
yeah.
Good question.
Like, I didn't change my brightness levels. Nope, it's just dark. It is. There have been maps like this in the past. So Reaper's doing great. He's absolutely destroying this Ling count. What's he got, 3 kills?
Yeah, but it hasn't scouted the natural yet.
That's actually a great point. And he won't either. Ah, look at him check the gold base like a G. He doesn't even check the natural. He's
no,
like,
he didn't.
That queen timing's a little late. What if there's a hatch down there at the gold?
Well, then Gumiho, now he can try and bully a little bit with this Reaper. Any delay on mining at the gold is big, but there's speedlings out. And Shin is just going to power macro off the back of it, looks like. There's no Roach War and no Baneling Nest.
Oh, yeah. No, he's just going to try to get, like, 3 bases, super fast. Super fast, 35 to 45 workers. Maybe go for some kind of a timing attack here. The benefit you get from that gold base, and oh, Gumiho loses the Reaper to a queen.
That's because he's
disgusting.
Under attack back home, and he doesn't really have too much to hold the line, losing 2 SCVs, 3 SCVs. Hellion's potentially going to get surrounded. Gosh. They have to drive around his own natural like crazy. He's doing a good job preventing that surround, but man, that is not a good situation to be in as the Terran.
Yeah, fantastic jukes from those Hellions. Not that hard to do. I see Diamond players do it a lot, but hey, good enough, man. Viking on the way. Roach Warren again from Shin. He does love those roaches in this matchup. We'll see how good they do. Hopefully better than the last game. Yeah, but I love it. Viking hunting Overlord. There will be Overlords for them to kill. Hellions going for that gold base, saying please don't have adequate defenses. And Cloak on the way. Is it a fake out with Cloak? Nope. No, I don't think so. That's
I'm a big fan of this.
Absolutely. But, I mean, look. It's just standard timing. Hellions are so slippery, man. Most of them get wiped out. That was pretty well controlled by Shin. It's just the standard timing to get detection in the situation if you're a Zerg player is about 4:30 to 5:30. And, I mean, that's way earlier than this Cloak is going to be done. The thing is, what did I say about Banshees in the last game?
Yeah, they defend against roaches pretty effectively.
pretty insanely well.
And that, I think, is a wise move by Gumiho because, of course, it means Shin could easily go on the offensive with that gold base. So, yay for the Banshee.
Yep, one Banshee. It's not going to kill the roaches super fast, but it will kill the roaches, and they know that. It's like, it's just too much. It's too much damage output to deal with it. He's just going home. It's just so demoralizing to be like, ha ha ha. I have this great roach timing, and then one Banshee is like, but do you, though?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this because this ensures Gumiho will survive into the mid to late game. As long as he doesn't lose his Banshees horribly, but I don't think that'll happen.
Oh, look at that spore timing. It's not here at 6 minutes. What did I say about spore timings, Shin? He's trying to get away with it as long as he can. It's like Dark, man. Dark and JSL tried to delay his spores as
Overseer
long
about
as he
to
could.
pop out, and this Banshee's right underneath those queens. Big micro mistake by Gumiho.
Did he not see it? That was brutal.
That was
He's
his,
controlling these
that
Hellions.
was his defensive tool right there. Hellion's going to run right into these lings. The Roach is not in position right away, but great repositioning by Shin, putting a timer on this Hellion run by. How much damage can be done before they're picked off, though. Great wall on that Evo.
And a Spire on the way. All right. You know what? I'm kind of okay with this. Yeah. Marine production hasn't really been happening here.
Yeah, alternatively, if Shin just makes some Corruptors and a bunch of Roaches, like, that could be a potential kill move on the Terran.
It could be. Is Gumiho just meching? Like, straight up?
Nope. Super slow bio. That
Super slow bio with two
horribly
factories?
walled into his own main.
Does he have two facts? Did I see another one coming up somewhere? Yeah, the natural base is the second factory.
Huh.
What the heck, dude? Alright, fine. It's kind of a hybrid then. It's going to be tanks this time. And yeah, there we go. Corruptors and Roaches. Look at this.
Ready or not, here I come, says Shin. Gumiho has 27 supply. He is relying hard on that one Banshee. Notably would have been two, but Shin just says, doesn't matter. 5 Corruptors will deal with those. And good luck dealing with my 25 to be Roaches.
Yeah, this is looking
that is a good supply
bad.
block, though.
Yep, absolutely. This is where Shin's got a bunch of cash he'd like to spend on Roaches, but that red down there says he can't. So he fires up 8 Overlords, so he's never supply blocked ever again. and Gumiho actually moving out. Hey,
no,
guy.
do not, Gumiho.
He's going to get surrounded on creep and killed, isn't he? No, he's got Medivacs. He can get out of there.
Sometimes the Terran players just have terrible instincts. This is one of those times. Okay, at least sends the tank back. He needs to like be attacking with these Marines this second, so he pulls Shin back, because if Shin commits, Gumiho is frickin' dead, man.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Gumiho shows up, and most of the army comes back to deal with this, and then Gumiho just pulls back. He can pick up in those medevacs. Where are the Corruptors, though?
Pick up.
No, where are the Corruptors? There they are. Corruptors right side, chasing these medevacs down. Gumiho's like, okay, we got to keep the pressure off of me because this is a lot of Zerg right now.
Oh, he's going to lose one of the full medevacs.
Yeah, his medevacs are dead. Gumiho's up to the north trying to do something while the ground army of Shin's distracted, but I think he caught wind of it because...
Is he going for the main or a would-be base here?
It doesn't matter. Shin sees it, and then most of his army is positioned to handle it. I mean, he's overwhelming this. Yeah, and that medevac down there is going to die for Gumiho too. Yeah, I think this might just be GG. Look at this unload. Corruptors like, man, we wish we had boost. Can you imagine Corruptors with boost? They'd be pretty good.
That would be the answer
Overpowered?
to all of Zerg's
Probably.
problems.
Honestly. More maneuverability for...
Okay, 5 tanks set up. Shin's going in. It's definitely not his whole army here, so this is actually a really great defensive position for Gumiho. And that Marine drop he made earlier may have saved his game. We'll see, as this one is getting pounced upon.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I'd love to see more Corruptors in this matchup just to clear out medevacs. Problem is, you actually need stuff on the ground to deal with the guys that dropped inside your base, not just the medevacs. So Lings are jumping in, trying to deal with this. It's not a huge group to be afraid of here, and these Lings should be able to handle it. Gumiho coming out. Again, another move out. I don't think the first move was too disastrous, and he's going to try to get something done with this too.
Gumiho has been playing on like a hairline of being killed in this game, and he has made the right decision a couple of times to keep Shin busy. Like, if that Marine drop had been a second later, Shin would have just committed across the map and killed him. Instead, Shin was like, okay, I'm not quite committed yet, I'll pull back. So the timing was perfect. This has allowed Gumiho to build up an incredibly formidable army. He's now taken the fight to the Zerg. He's got to be careful doing it as he scans a boatload of Banelings. Tanks are sieging, though, and Baneling speed is quite a ways away.
Look at this hybrid play. That's a ton of siege tanks. This is not Marine Marauder Medevac. This is Marine Siege Tank Medevac. Tanks? That is so many siege tanks. Yeah, those Banes are so far away from having speed. Adrenal's on the way, and Ultralisk Cavern is coming in. I'm not sure if Ultras are even that good with this many
+2 Carapace
tanks. Oh, that's huge. See you later, +2 Carapace. Denied. Did he cancel it? I don't know, man. This is kind of Gumiho's game to lose at this point, man. Look at how many tanks there are. And he's all grounded up right now. No mutas. The Corruptors are good, not against tanks. And Corruptors sniping out some of these medevacs would be super useful. Baneling speed is done. Is Shin going for it?
He is, but it is a bold play, and I don't think it's a winning one, as the Terran army is already splitting the bio. The tanks getting big shots off. There's a lot of reinforcements coming on in. It is an okay trade so far for Shin. He's making 4 Ultralisks behind this, which is really significant. The Corruptors have been doing really good work, killing off all the Medivacs for the Terran, really taking a lot of the staying power out of this. It's still a darn okay cleanup for the Terran, but supplies are fairly even.
Yeah, once you're out of Banelings, these Marines really shine against these Ravagers and Roaches for sure, but guess what Marines aren't good against? Ultralisks. In the tank count, there are no Marauders, no Ghosts. Gumiho fires up a Fusion Core for the Liberators he doesn't have, and for the Battle Cruisers he's probably not going to make. I don't know, takes his own gold base, but yeah, Ultralisks are going to be a huge problem for a Terran player who has 5 Siege Tanks and 26 Marines.
Yeah, Gumiho really needs to go on the defensive, I think, at this point. Like, he cannot be caught out with his army. He does not have the Medivacs to get this back if he commits and is caught out. So he's got to be really careful here. He's got a beautiful economy behind this. Like, it's Shin's on 5 bases, Gumiho's on 5 bases. Terran can sit back in that scenario any day of the week. He scans, he sees the Ultras, and he is immediately going on home.
Yeah, 100%. Firing up more Marauders. Ghost production begins immediately. Not enough Lings to take down that planetary, especially not with Marine support. No Banelings, no Ultras in that group, but Shin goes for Anabolic Synthesis before Chitinous Plating, which is weird.
Look at that.
Gumiho's going the meme upgrade on the Fusion Core.
He wants that faster energy regeneration on his Medivacs.
He doesn't have any medevacs. He's got 3 medevacs.
Exactly. They got a lot of work to do.
That's a fair point. Vipers being added to the mix here from Shin.
Oh,
Gumiho
man, I
says,
can't believe it.
I need these snipes. I need snipes against these Ultras. Best thing against Ultras.
Yeah. Tanks are not bad in this scenario, though.
No.
One tank with
high ground, firing nonstop, killing roaches.
My gosh, the animations.
Yeah, the corpse explosions are so well designed. Someone had a fun time with that.
I guarantee none of these new RTS have animations that good.
No. Nope. Blizzard animation and visual style at its peak is undefeated. Alright, so we're mid-game, we're late game. Where both players are maxed out, both players generating something of a bank here. Going to come down to base denial, base killing. Snipes are going to be huge. Shin's map sense is
I was just about to say, this is like perfect positioning by the Zerg.
He's just not allowed Gumiho to get anything off. That 12 o'clock march across the map is going to be pretty effective, though.
Yeah, this is a nice use of the choke point and a hard base for the Zerg to hold on to. Gumiho, he's got quite an army. He's got to be so careful with the engagement, though, because if the Zerg spills forward and he's not paying attention, like, his army is not really free-split. There's lots of Banes, lots of Ultra stepping forward. Beautiful Blinding Clouds by Shin. Snipes are going down, but what is there to protect these Ghosts? The answer is not a lot. They do get some snipes off. The Medivacs will save them, however, but that was a big trade. While this is going on, the Marines of Gumiho take down one of the Zerg spaces, making it 5-5 presently.
But Shin's rampaging.
Yeah.
Those Ghosts are being put into position where they can't get surrounded that easily. Siege tanks getting killed. 2 Ultras, 2 Banelings, and a Roach are going after that Planetary, but Lings are joining the party, which is nice. Ghosts getting that snipe off. Lings causing problems for the Ghosts, though the repair, the hug of life, is too good. And no, Shin, my attack didn't work. GG, and Gumiho moves on to our final against Stats. I thought Shin had a little more fire in him there, but you're right. Losing that base, the workers active was not super hot. Gumiho had more workers at the end of the game, had better base count. Yeah, I mean, Shin put all of his eggs in that basket of killing that Planetary, and when he couldn't do it, he tapped. GG, man. Gumiho, what? Man, I thought Gumiho was in way more trouble than that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, no, he's able to recover well. What's up, Somicron? Yeah, I mean, 100% impressive win there from Gumiho. Game 1, kind of a build order loss. Game 2, just not enough splash damage, I would say, from Shin. Game 3, I mean, just looking good. Again, Marines, Marauders, Marines mostly for the most part. And that last game was a really nice back and forth. I thought Shin was in a pretty good position, but overall, just too hard to cover all of the bases on the map. Gumiho was too active out there, sniping bases, causing all sorts of problems, and bam, took him down. John Solo says Equilibrium is a Terran map, and it kind of is. Those narrow areas are difficult for sure for Zerg.
Yeah, and that was a good series all in all. Gumiho showed us he's a masterclass player. Shin showed a lot of his great skill, but in the end, like, they were both playing really well, and Gumiho just came out on top.
Absolutely. So it's going to be a PvT Gumiho versus Stats finals today. Should be a ton of fun for sure.
Yes, it should. It's going to be a best of 7, and both these guys are looking really good. I think Stats in his current form is honestly the favorite. We'll see, though, after a short break, ladies and gentlemen. We shall be back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and it is finals time between two incredible players, a Protoss and a Terran. Gumiho and Stats, a best of 7.
Incredible. Can't ask for more than that today. Curious to see how Stats does in a PvT. I know his PvZ is terrifying right now. We'll see how he handles Terran. But I feel like he's going to handle it very, very well.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if he's brave enough to go into the late game, or whether we'll see some variety in his play with timings and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know a lot of Protoss are complaining about the state of this matchup right now, so we'll see if just play like Stats is a viable answer to their complaints.
That's a good meme. It never gets old.
Never does.
Okay. And here we are in the bottom right, the Protoss player representing Ire. It's Stats.
And from Cloud9 Gaming, it's Gumiho. Yeah, there was a time where I'd be like, Gumiho is just too tricksy and Stats is too good to fall for his tricks, so this is going to be easy. But man, again, Gumiho has really, really developed as a player over the last few years, so I feel like he's going to give Stats everything he can handle here today, which is always nice. Let's see what Stats is going to do against, Marines and Marauders and Vikings and Ghosts and all that fun stuff. And a double gas one base opening here, Gumiho. Okay.
Yeah.
God, does that just say Cyclones to anybody else? Not necessarily, but man. I don't know. I've just run into too many people on the 3v3 ladder where Terrans are just going ghosts off of one base, just reactoring them and making a million of them, and it's so hard to deal with.
Man, 3v3 and team games in Starcraft 2 are so darn fun.
They are fun. You get a lot of different things. That's kind of what I like about it. Weird compositions, different timing attacks. It's just...
Yeah.
It's interesting. It mixes things up a lot.
It's like an episode of a Saturday morning cartoon having like a Zerg and a Protoss team up to do a Ling Stalker timing attack or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a weird tank Banshee Zealot Ravager kind of a weird thing. Like, what the heck is this? Yeah. Have to figure out how to deal with it, coordinate with your teammates. It's tough. It can be tough sometimes. So, it's gonna be Reactored Reapers. Okay, I guess.
Gumiho. I love this so much, actually, though. Protoss never expect this.
No, but that's because they have shield batteries and stalkers and it-ups.
But that can be their downfall, because they're like, a Terran would never do this. I'm going to move out with my early game Stalker. And if Stats does that, and Gumiho's got 2 Reapers and a Hellion, he can out-micro that Stalker.
That's true. This can't be a move out. Yeah, I was gonna say it. He's not gonna move out. He's gonna stay home. He is going to sit by this shield battery and be invincible. It's gonna be fine. Yeah, this is not happening. Sorry, Gumiho. Good try, dude. It's fun. Laser shot. Guess what's blocked? The Reaper hop-up spot is blocked with a sentry ready to shut that down. Yeah, nope, not working. Sorry, Gumiho. Fun stuff, but no. Yep.
He's gonna
try
try.
To get that run by. Oh, the force field is sick. Stats, you are so mean. You are so mean. It's just he's back. That's it. That's all this is. He's back.
I think that's safe to say at this point. Stats is looking real good.
It took him a bit. He wasn't immediately back when he got back from military, but he's back. This is nuts. All right, guess what he's getting? Blink. Chronoing Blink out. Siege Tank Medevac on the way.
Oh dear. Don't tell me Gumiho's planning a tank push into a bunch of Blink Stalkers.
That's what I'm reading here, I'm afraid, LaughNgamez.
Okay, I hope he's just gonna go defensive with this.
Be nice. Just have his tank in a good position. Marines covering it too.
Oh dear.
Ooh, Cloak Banshee on the way, though. That's kind of interesting. I won't say no to that.
Okay.
All right, Here comes Gumiho.
He's gonna try and pull a fast one, but there's soon to be 6 stalkers out.
Take that, pylon.
He's not even gonna kill the pylon.
No.
Tank doesn't shoot the injured stalker. That is a bit of a mistake. The Marines are going to go down, so the tank has to unsiege. Can it kill that injured stalker? Yes, it can.
Ooh, sure did. But tank's gonna die here. No, wait. Heroic pickup. No, gets another kill. Okay.
It wasn't a terrible trade.
No, it wasn't nothing.
And that trade wasn't as awful as you may think for Gumiho, because Stats kept a lot of units at the natural to prevent that Reaper Hellion dive.
That's true. Huh. I was going to say Cloak Banshee's not bad, but Observers are already on the way, so whatever. Colossus production has begun from Stats.
Oh.
Oh, what the heck? Was that the medevac from before?
I think it was the medevac filled with the 2 Reapers.
Oh. Bye, guys. You didn't really get anything done. That's okay. Better luck next time, dudes. Extended Thermal Lance on the way from Stats. Yeah, so Colossus are going to be good here. Let's see. The current Marauder Viking count is 0. Siege tanks are good against Colossus, though, but less defensively, more offensively. He just cancel what the? He just cancel charge? Is he researching charge on that Twilight?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
Oh, there is an observer in perfect position.
Yeah. Okay, Gumiho's had pretty much the worst first 6 minutes you can have here. I mean, I guess he did kill a couple stalkers.
They didn't even try and go around.
No, he just went right in the front door and was like, "I'm here."
He could have killed like 4 probes if he went around before they died.
Yeah, that's a good point. Shield battery can't handle 2 simultaneous attacks from a Banshee, or 2 Banshees.
Sometimes you just don't feel like microing anymore. You're just like, let this unit die. I don't want to control this.
So Gumiho's in a lot. I like his economy. 50 workers is pretty good at this stage of the game. Plus mules.
Yeah, but Stats is going up to 4 bases.
That's true. So Gumiho needs a 3rd base, or he needs to go kill something. These are his choices.
It's like a train's coming to hit Gumiho.
Yeah. Magical 3 Colossus number has been hit. Charge is on the way again, possibly. Warp Prism speed, or is that Observer speed? I always forget.
Prism speed?
I think it's Prism speed.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gumiho just decides to go for a 3rd base, kind of stay on his side of the map. He does have the LaughNgamez watchtower, a bit of a hit squad up that away. Keeping an eye on that section of the map. It's a pretty well-placed LaughNgamez watchtower for this one on Goldenara. But Stats is on the move out. Here he comes.
And Gumiho is just making his first 2 Vikings. He's of course got the tanks to help defend this. It's all going to depend on the positioning. It's all going to depend on whether this prism makes it into the main and wreaks havoc or not.
They always do.
Can deal with Colossus in a head-to-head fight. We see Widowmine's repositioning to help deal with this. There is a Viking to shoot his prism away. It is going to try and get a warping off before this. While this is going on,
And
Stats is coming on in. The tanks are in a pretty great spot for Gumiho, though. But the problem is the 3rd will be forfeit.
Yeah, that's a lift on the 3rd. The SCVs are trying to run no real medevac to get them out of here. The siege tanks that are in good positions are dead now. Zealots still not cleaned up here inside the main base. 15 SCVs have died. It is 72 to 60 army supply. Gumiho sends that group that was up the LaughNgamez watchtower in for a counterattack. There's not much to do with these guys here either, and that is going to force a recall of some of these units at least.
Yeah.
But, man, Zealots are free. The natural base is kind of a madhouse right now. Zealots against Marauders are pretty good. Oh, but the Vikings catching Colossus unsupported now, but 34 SCVs died. Mules are good. They're not that good, and Stats takes game 1.
That was atrocious.
It was pretty bad for Gumiho, gotta say. It's not one of those games where it's like, well, he played pretty well and lost anyway. It's like, no, he made several mistakes. That happens, though, to the best of us.
Yeah.
Including Gumiho.
That's just the stats thing, too. Like,
yeah.
you can try funny things against him, like those 2 Reapers and the Hellions, but then he just defends it. And then he checkmates you.
Yeah, and that's... Yeah. That's what I said. That's what I said at the start. You can try to do silly things against stats, but he will not fall for it, and then you will die. So I'm really surprised that Gumiho tried it. He's like, I gotta try this dude. He's back from military. Is he still the same dude? And he's like, yes, he is. That's not good. So
like,
I imagine we won't see any shenanigans to open game 2 here. I'd be very surprised.
Gumiho's just like, oh, winning the GSL just got a lot harder, didn't it?
I mean, not that it was ever particularly easy, but yeah, it's a lot harder now. Now that there's a Protoss representative who knows what they're doing, it's mean to say that, because like Hero's a great player, man, and Trap's really good too, but like they're not stats. They're just not.
No, well, I mean, like there was like a time even like there is this brief window between Zest leaving, Trap and Zest leaving, Stats leaving.
Yeah.
And, well, before Stats came back, because Stats retired before those two. And then it was just like, there is no Protoss representative.
Right, right. It's like Hero won 2 GSLs, and that was it. Like, they're not making it to the round of 8s in WCS or ESL tournaments. It's just bleak out there.
Before Hero popped back, though, there was, like, no one.
Yes, that's
We were
true.
cheering for, like, Hurricane and Joan, which was all the power to them, but they just weren't it.
Nope. No disrespect intended, but they were not stats. But I mean, how many players in StarCraft 2 history have been stats, right? A couple. Top left, Gumiho.
Yeah, maybe
Serral. Serral's been stats. Maru is stats?
I don't think so. Maru loses all the time.
That's the thing. Stats is more consistent than Maru's ever been.
There was Rain.
Sure, we like
He was
Rain.
incredibly defensive, like stats, and won a lot as a result of it.
Yep.
Maybe Trap. Trap was pretty defensive too.
Yeah, but there's just nothing in Trap's resume to come close to anything. True. I mean, I like him enough, but stats have just been good for how many years now? And I mean, it just adds to the legend that he comes back from military, takes a minute to get acclimated, and is this again. Like, that's bonkers.
Maybe TY. But
I really like TY.
He was pretty defensive and solid most of the time.
Certainly.
Yeah. It does make me wonder for StarCraft 2, like, if these massive, massive prize purses in, like, the IEM, this upcoming World Championship, that was, like, a $200,000 prize first place, it's like, alright, maybe I'll try and get back into form in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, maybe. Come back. Yeah, I mean, Stats' resume starts at 2013 and just never stops. It's like military service is the only thing that stopped him from consistently winning Premier and Major tournament.
It's true.
For 10 years now. Man, are we going to get back to the point where we hate Protoss again?
I hope so.
Because I'd left it. I was like just feeling nothing but sad for Protoss for the last couple of years. Like, you guys need help. This is so terrible. Please win something. I'm like begging for Protoss to win something. And now it's like, okay, Stats is back. Yeah. Never mind. Flip that switch.
Now Stats
Protoss is overpowered. Yeah.
He's about to just rip the arms off Gumiho.
Yeah. And it's like, all my empathy for Protoss is gone suddenly.
We'll see how he does against Serral. If he, like, he's still got to prove himself a lot. If he is in that absolute god tier form, if he wins this
Dark
GSL.
Looks silly. And it's not like there's a huge gap between Dark and Serral.
There's quite a gap.
There's a gap. There is a gap.
I mean, like, even when Cyril was at his peak and Stats was still around, Stats was the one that was always meeting him in the finals.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Cyril Stats is like peak PVZ for Starcraft 2. I can't wait. I hope we get it. I really do.
Yeah, what place was Stats on the greatest of all time list?
For StarCraft 2?
Yeah, because there was another TL series that someone was writing.
Uh-huh. Ooh, hard walls it? No. This one adept's like, hold on. Oh, there's an Oracle.
Yeah,
Never
he's
mind.
fine.
We're good. We're good.
You know, just invested in 500 resources to get
Remember when
nothing.
I was like, Gumiho certainly won't do anything silly in game 2, and then he immediately does something silly in the first 3 minutes.
It looked really
Dude.
good until the Oracle turned out not to be across the map.
Correct. If the Oracle wasn't there, that's a very different setup.
Oh my
But
God.
it was there because it was Stats.
Stats, please.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Was Stats like 4th or 5th? StarCraft 2 greatest players of all time, somewhere around there.
Yeah, like
Something around there.
Rogue maybe better. Cyril better.
Cyril better.
Who else?
I mean, it would have to be like Maru or Innovation, but I don't think they've been as consistent, like you said.
No. No, Stats
Maybe
is,
Stats is 3?
yeah, I think Stats is 3rd.
I could see that.
Like, Maru did win 4 GSLs in a row or whatever,
Uh-huh.
but he completely sucked at everything else during that period.
You are not wrong, sir.
Okay, Blink about to finish up for Stats, so he's going to be able to poke and prod Gumiho a little bit. The investment that Gumiho made there, we're almost laughing because that was so huge to get nothing done.
Yes. Just...
There's going to be an attempted Widowmine drop here by the Terran player, moving towards the 3rd base. It's not the most saturated of the Protoss' bases, but there is potential for damage here. One Widowmine burrows. Stats is on it the second that pops out.
And the medevac dies, and the Widowmines are stranded, and this Widowmine's gonna try... Oh, hang on. Oh, no, once again. Perfect pull. Amazing timing. What? How? And the Widowmine takes its courtesy kill. It's pity kill.
It's true.
Yeah. This is all I'm gonna get? Fine. Sats is like, you may have this. I am a gracious god. Man. It's just good to have him back. And it's good to have him at this level again. Like, if Stats had came back and just kind of, like, never really got back, it was sad.
Yeah, like a lot of players haven't done.
Certainly.
Who wins this? Oh, the
Depends on
Stalker
the
doesn't have
micro.
vision.
Nope.
If Stats
Stalker's
waits
like-
and blinks in there, he can kill it.
Could do. Decides to run away
He's
instead.
just bringing 5 friends.
Yeah.
Fight fair, cowards.
Suddenly Watchtower gets a nice little view of Gumiho coming across the map. Stats gets plenty of advance notice. Stalkers are going to try to delay this. Ooh, losing the Stalker, though. A little careless there. I don't know what killed those probes. Landed Viking her ass. Okay, I'm on board. Let's go. Solid Revelation attack down. This is a concussive shell-ish timing attack. Colossus are on the way, but they take a while to build, and they're not going to be ready for this attack unless Gumiho really delays it. Which
yeah.
he shouldn't do. Is he
You
waiting
are
for Revelation to
correct
wear
about
off?
that. He is a
Yeah.
2-basing Terran trying to push up a ramp. There's no more stasis wards that have been tossed down, so Gumiho is free to push up, There's currently 16 Zealots out. Stats drops some beautiful force fields. There is lots of Widow Mines, some friendly fire. That's not a bad trade for the Terran. More Stalkers come down from the main base. Does Stats have the time? A Colossus just popped out. There's a battery, but the Colossus is separated from it, so it cannot be healed up. He's got to be very wary of that. He warps in a lot more Zealots. He's not wasting any time. In goes Stats. A Widowmine burrows for Gumiho. He's kiting back as well as he can. He loses his tank, however, and now the Colossus have a bit of support.
Yeah, medevacs are going down here. A third Colossus would be amazing, but they're a minute away. Gumiho's like, all my guys are stimmed. Medevac count is not what it used to be. And look at him chasing down those medevacs with a vengeance.
Yeah, this is...
Careful, though.
I mean, there's 2 Colossus and there's soon to be 4.
Army value 52 to 45.
Oh
GG.
my god, Stats.
He just... What's that? This bigger army has shown up and I have no Colossus yet. We'll be fine. Just be patient. Fall back, force fields, target fire, siege tanks. Get those Zealots in there. Don't let the Terran get on top of your stuff. Bam, Colossus pop, everything changes. And that's a 2-0 for Stats. I mean, he's just... The patience.
Yeah, that is incredible. Like,
The utter lack of panic. Yeah.
it's a good thing Stats is a humble guy, because we just spent 9 minutes talking him up, and then he backed it up and slapped Gumiho down.
I know!
His head may explode otherwise.
He really is, though. I mean, that's the thing. He's not cocky at all. He's just so even-keeled, and it benefits him so much in situations like that. I think 9 out of 10 pro Protoss players panic when that kind of an army shows up. At your front door, you have no splash damage to deal with it at all. Charge lots were really nice. Those were super important. He had those, but man. Charging in there too early, not controlling well, not target firing the tanks effectively. There are a million things that could have gone wrong there to allow Gumiho to win that, but nope. Not at all. Stats comes out on top. He's got the 2-0 lead, and we're on Alcyone for game number 3.
Yeah, and Stats, like, even when he doesn't have all the... He's always getting the information, but even when he doesn't, he's playing in a way that he covers all of his bases. Like, he didn't know Gumiho was going to run in there with 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions or whatever it was.
Right.
But he just had the units in the perfect positioning and was fine in the early game.
All right, Gumiho. Have we learned our lesson yet? Let's find out. Top right, though, it's still Stats.
Yeah, and we got Gumiho on the bottom left. And it's like, the problem is, though, if you don't try and cheese Stats, you have to macro against him.
And that's terrifying too. I mean, it'd be one thing if Stats was just the guy who can handle early game aggression and was kind of weaker in the late game, but it's the guy who can handle the early game aggression and is a monster in the late game as well. There's just no weaknesses here. That's the thing that's always been true about Stats when he's at his peak, is you just don't know what to do. You just have to be patient yourself. You have to take as good engagements as you can, micro your face off, macro your face off. Try to find little angles you can take, little ways you can get an advantage against Stats and just burn him down over time, piece by piece by piece. It's just very rare that you show up and just crush him and get a win.
Yeah, Gumiho is going for 1 gas this time, so a more natural expansion plan.
Definitely. This is very traditional 1 Reaper expand. Probe coming across the map here. Do some harassing on that SCV. I'm not going to leave that SCV alone. Pop in here, get a fuller scout off. He's seen what he needs to see. That is like 90% sure that's a Reaper. So Probe going to get out of here and try to stay alive. Sees the timing on the expansion, says, okay. Nothing too crazy from Gumiho, at least assuming nothing changes here.
There's that Reaper. Sentry on the way for stats. Great defensive tool, but also allows him to hallucinate that Phoenix and get the information in a minute.
Yep. Information is everything. I'm reading a Warhammer book right now about the Ultramarines, and that's kind of their motto, is like information is power, you know?
Is that a series you read a lot of, or?
So yeah, I'm kind of going through the Horus Heresy right now, which is Warhammer 30k technically, which kind of explains what happened before 40k and everything is terrible, and why everything is terrible.
That sounds interesting.
It's a bunch of books. It's like 30 books.
Holy cow.
I'm making progress. Yeah, it's all really good though. I mean, they brought together a bunch of like New York Times best-selling authors. Like everything I've read has just been excellent. So they put the time and the effort into making it a good series.
That's really great.
Yeah, I can recommend it. Anyway, Ultramarines. Information is power, and that's very true in StarCraft as well, as it is a form of war, and knowing what your opponent is doing gives you a massive edge in knowing how to win the game.
Did you ever play those Warhammer 40,000 strategy games?
No. I should one day.
They were... The aesthetics... It was like must have been one of the very first video games that I saw. And the aesthetics were just really interesting. It was really dark, nitty, and gritty. And then they released that fantastic trailer for Warhammer Dawn of War, I think it was, or something. The new RTS they were coming out with. But then the art, it was just like League of Legends, cartoony, bright and happy. And it's like, no, this is not what I want.
That's not Warhammer aesthetic at all. Yeah, that's disappointing.
But the trailer for the game's really good.
Well, that's always nice. Are the stalkers abandoning the spot, or are they trying to make Gumiho think there aren't stalkers here? Probably the latter. Yeah. Ooh. Widowmine, take your kill. Stop being greedy. There we go. Second Widowmine, never mind. Doesn't exist. Stays inside the medevac the whole time. That's going for a bit of an earlier RoboBay here.
I mean, he's already got the third up.
Yeah, not saturated yet. But RoboBay into nothing. He gets the RoboBay, doesn't start anything with it.
There's
it doesn't
the Colossus.
There we go. Didn't quite have the gas. All right, Colossus have served him well so far.
Chrono boosting out probes. And the Colossus. Double batteries going up at the third for stats. So he is really anticipating some Terran aggression, and lo and behold, we look across the map, there's Gumiho, 2 full medivacs, 3 medivacs worth of units traveling across on ground. Stats, he's got those batteries to fall back to, gonna try and bait out stims again and again most likely. That sentry can also drop force field versus the Guardian shield. And that Zealot is buffering a lot with that battery. There's also potential for an overcharge. Stats, I think, is waiting for Gumiho to dive.
Widowmine gets connection, takes down an Adept there, and then gets in the main base despite the presence of the Stalkers. They do snipe off one of these medevacs, but that's a lot of Marines and medevacs, or Marauders, free inside the main base here of Stats. Yeah. Shield batteries trying to heal up, but Stalkers are horrendous by themselves against this many Marines and Marauders.
The
Colossus,
damage, though, isn't that high.
No, only 3 probes go down. It's a good probe pull. Reinforcing Marines bust into the third base. There aren't even that many of them. They get a probe.
Oh my gosh.
And somehow there was a ton of Terran in this main base and nothing really happened.
Yeah, like he killed some of those, like 7 Stalkers died, but...
That's true.
That's not that much. It's...
No, considering how aggressive that was from Gumiho and what an attack timing was, Stats is like, meh. Could have been worse for sure. getting that third Colossus out. +1 attack is finishing for his ground units. Gumiho's working on more medevacs, widow mines, marines, marauders, infantry, armor upgrades, all sorts of good, delicious stuff. Armories for the permacloak on the widow mines, which they're thinking about doing away with.
Yeah.
Said you'll need the drilling claws to make that happen.
How many times have they flip-flopped on this?
Like at least 4. It's been a lot.
I think the best change in that patch by far is just giving a notification when a widow mine burrows in a mineral line.
Yeah.
Or when a unit's targeted by a widow mine. That was it.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Give you any kind of advance notice. Yeah.
They should probably start with that. I don't know. It's just, but anyway.
Yeah, it's a lot of changes for one unit for one balance patch. But I mean, it's just proposed at this point. They might pull back on some of the stuff.
What is your take on the lack of Zerg changes because they say PvZ is fine?
I mean, stats exist. I'm telling you, that Stats versus Dark series was like, oh, Protoss, huh? Although, to be fair, then Classic beat Dark. So I don't know. Maybe Protoss is fine, or maybe Dark just has some major issues. Yeah, that is not an unload position, Gumiho. I'm sorry.
3 dead Marauders. That is not cheap for the Terran.
You know, Medevac's made it out, which is nice, but silver lining for sure.
Supply-wise, the Terran is ahead. Stats has got to be careful about overcommitting. He's got all the vision he needs, though, with that Observer on the Xel'Naga. But apparently not all the vision he needs, actually, as in comes Gumiho at a critical timing, moving in. That Robo is vulnerable. That Forge is so close to finishing its upgrade, but one is denied. The second is going to be denied.
Oh, that's killer. Robo and 2 upgrades cancel there. This will get cleaned up, but they did a ton of damage.
Yeah,
oh, what a sneaky attack. Gumiho's following it up here. He's got 97 to 80 army supply advantage. He's got 70 workers. He's pumping hard off of multiple barracks, 5 barracks, 2 widow mines being produced at a time here, and that +2 attack upgrade is finishing up from Gumiho quite soon. And after denying stats upgrade, that will be a massive upgrade advantage for the Terran player.
Yeah, Stats' micro is going to have to be next level in order to overcome the upgrade loss that he has. He's going to have to take some really darn good fights. He is shutting down this harassment at his 4th. He recalls to deal with this drop towards his main, but the Terran does sneak to that back corner of the map.
Yeah, nothing to deal with that stuff in the dead airspace currently. Gumiho has another army sharking around the left side. He's expanding to a 4th base himself. He's adding ghosts into the mix with their EMP. All right, Gumiho's found himself in a pretty nice place here at the 10-minute mark against Stats.
He really has. Stats, he's still being very active with his army, moving out on the map, that kind of thing. Got the Observer coming in to clean up that Widow Mine. I do love the double Disruptor choice to they aren't affected by that upgrade deficit that he's now found himself in.
Yeah, I mean, Chrono can catch up on that pretty easily, but Gumiho starting on +3 infantry right now is pretty nice. Stats moving across the center of the map while Gumiho takes more of a southern route, and he's got the northern route too. He's going for 2 separate bases while Stats is entirely out of position and on the attack.
We're heading into a base trade against a Terran. This Prism could be so key to that as well, but it just ate a Widow Mine shot. In comes the Terran towards the natural base. There was disruptors being made. Where are they? They are at the 3rd base. Their shots could be really important here. We see Stats bringing back a single Colossus in the Prism to help out. I think he's going to need more than that. Disruptors are looking for Novas, but they do not find them. Another Nova goes down. It connects with a handful of units. Those disruptors are staying alive. Stats needs a lot of work to get done here, and he may still find it, as Gumiho doesn't have anything else in his main whatsoever. The Prism comes back to potentially micro these disruptors, micro the Colossus, as Stats is getting lots of damage done on Gumiho's side of the map. Is it enough, though?
The worker massacre is intense on both sides here. It's 30 to 25 workers at 12 minutes. The main base of Gumiho and that planetary 4th base are all that exist right now, but Stats is knocked down to effectively the main base, and that is it. He's got Disruptors, he's got Colossus. Purification Novas need to get out before the... Okay, Shield Battery overcharge, keeping those Disruptors alive. No! Burning through it. Nice pickup to dodge. There are ghosts in here. EMPs getting tossed down. Big time connections there. Stalker's fighting. Colossus trying to get.
Oh my gosh, it's still alive.
Shield battery. Yeah, man, that War Prism doing serious work here. And both players are down to their single base. If Stats can successfully defend here,
it's gonna be close. The Prism is microing. The Disruptor gets taken out before it gets its Nova off. There's a handful of units left in the main base. 4 Stats. Probes are binding while all this chaos is going on. Gumiho has plenty of units as he brings more and more to the main. Stats is trying to get out. He's got 4 probes left. He's got the money to make another Nexus. Scrap that, though, as 4 Stalkers get warped in. There is a Nexus building at the natural, however. There's a Widow Mine that's a threat, but there is 2 observers there, and Stats is on top of this Terran army. He's trying to take as good of a trade as he can, but the upgrades are really shining through for Gumiho. These Terran units are simply not dying despite a beautiful fight from Stats with the force fields. It's just not enough. Gumiho fights back.
That positioning, that fantastic upgrade advantage, that was huge. What a win for Gumiho. And close, too. Really, really close game. Stats almost had enough to clean out that attack in his main base. If he'd done that, he has the natural. He has a better economy, and he probably goes on to win that game. But Gumiho, right place, right time. Gets in there, gets in that Sim City, a place that's very hard for the Zealots to get any kind of a surround on the units. Relies on the advantage of the upgrades. Colossus can't do as much as they need to do, and that is a GG, man. It's like Radiset Station is what Stats wants to do for our next game, which is a great map for macro games. If there ever was one in recent 1v1 ladder map pools, man. Phoenix, excited about that game. John Solo says close one for sure, definitely. 100% super close game. Really, really fun. So it's good. I'm glad to see that Gumiho does not go down 3-0. That's a tough position to be in. Let's see if Gumiho can force it, get us to a game 7. That'd be a ton of fun here today. We'll see how Stats responds.
Yeah, we shall see. We are loading on into that lobby now. Getting
Wait, was there a?
Was Rad has that vetoed?
Yeah, it looks like Gumiho objected to that.
That was banned by Gumiho.
Ah, dang it. Radiset's fun. It's a crazy map, but it's fun. So Stats goes for Equilibrium for our next match instead. And yeah, thanks to everybody for hanging out, watching some amazing Starcraft with us today.
It has been great.
Yeah, well done by Gumiho, getting the win there in a very tough position, but that just shows his mental fortitude, his ability to deal with tough, stressful situations and come out on top. Phoenix again offering $10 to the prize pool if he nukes. I don't know. It seems pretty risky to try to go nukes against Stats. We've already talked about doing unnatural things is pretty tricky here against our guy's Stats. So
okay, both players are ready.
Let's get on in here to game number 4. I think we're on 4. Are we on 4? We're on 4.
Yes, Stats with the 2-1 lead, so that was a really important map for Gumiho.
100%. Going down 3-0 against Stats is incredibly demoralizing.
Yeah, but well done by Gumiho. Even Stats gets out of position. Gumiho had that attack. It came into the natural, and that's really where he won the game. Because, like, Stats played well the rest of the game, but all of his trades without those upgrades were not as good as they should have been. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Upgrades, man. Upgrades are everything sometimes.
Like, Stats played incredible at the end of that game with the Warpins, with the engagements, dealing with all the Gumiho units in his main base. He was microing that Colossus like mad, but he just wasn't dealing any damage because of those upgrades. And so here we have him, the man that's fighting back. It's Gumiho.
And in the top right, it's Stats.
Is it alright if I step aside for a second?
Okay, sounds good.
I will lock my camera on yours, and I will be back.
Okay. All right, so Stats. Nothing crazy here, man. He's not going to go Nexus first. He's not going to try to do anything super tricky here. He's not going to try to cannon rush either. What's up? Call Me Sparky. Yeah, there's a Matcherino page for this. If you just scroll up and click on that chat, there's a link to the Liquipedia and there's a link to the Matcherino that is active for this one. It might need to update the Liquipedia page for the correct Matcherino link. Thanks for letting us know about that. Anyway, nothing crazy here, man. Stats is getting a Cyber Core like every good Protoss does. On the other side of it, a Reaper's on the way from Gumiho. He's got the 1 gas and the expand. Coming in here at 140. So far, so good. Again, Gumiho did not do anything crazy here to start the game, but that's the thing. You have the ability to do different stuff pretty much whenever you want in this matchup. You can swap from going incredibly standard on the opening into something pretty weird whenever you feel like it. Zerg obviously can tech switch quicker than the other races can, but the Terran does have the ability to kind of swap up to a couple more factories, maybe swap an add-on somewhere, start pumping a ton of Widow Mines or a ton of Cyclones. Anyway, we'll see what this Reaper is gonna do. And what this Reaper is gonna do is hang out inside the corner of Stat's base for some reason. I don't quite understand. There we go. Gonna pop in. Oh my gosh, is he gonna get a probe kill? Look at that probe micro. Getting that probe out of there. Kitty Gate charged. Catching. Oh, the trap. Oh, the probe trap there was way too good, man. Shield battery. Twilight Council from Stats on the opening. We'll see if he goes for Blink on that. Would be the standard thing to do. Starport on the way from Gumiho. So he is going 1-1-1 with the command center, as Husky used to say. The Destiny Cloud Fist build is happening here from Gumiho.
Are we allowed to talk about
Quest
them anymore?
Starport. I mean, in that sense, that's pretty much the only time I'll mention him, to be honest. I do love the Destiny Cloud Fist name. I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's kind of abandoned the Starcraft scene. He tried to come back a little bit, but I don't think that stuck.
Yeah, I haven't followed up on that at all. Definitely was a big inspiration for me as far as getting into StarCraft and
certainly
casting later down the line too.
Oh, absolutely. When he stopped casting was when I was like, well, someone's got to do it.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Some guys that are casting an impressive amount still. Lag TV is pumping out content like mad still.
Are they active again?
Yeah, they're very active. It's quite bizarre. I don't know what changed or what inspired them to get up on that horse, because they always knocked it for it not being worth their time, or StarCraft being dead, or it not being profitable, or... Yeah, but... Anyway.
I love those guys. I love Maximus Black a lot, and Nova War.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like... Okay, yeah, Husky posted a couple StarCraft videos 6 months ago, and he's been gone since. So, awesome guy.
Huh, who'd have thought if you abandon your audience for 8 years?
Seriously. Oh,
Not
that new Will Cheese failed, too.
Yeah,
Yeah, seriously, though. What? I'll have to catch up on Lag TV. I love those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
they're very, very funny off the cuff. I listened to their podcast for quite a bit of time, but they just argued so much I had to stop listening to it. Like,
that's fair.
It was like...
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, it was like watching two friends argue, like,
right,
in an angry way. It's like, you guys, this is not entertainment or the vibe I came here for.
Watching your parents yell at each other. That's not fun for anyone. Yeah.
When you go over to a friend's parents' house and they start arguing, it's like, oh god, what do I do?
Yep. Yeah. Did he just cancel Interference Matrix? Yes.
Yes.
He was almost done with it. What the heck, dude? That would be so good against the Colossus that Stats has been going against you every game, by the way. I'm so confused by that. And it was almost done. It's not like he just started it and was like, thought better of it. He waited until it was like 85% complete and then said no.
Maybe he did see the gold nexus. Maybe he's assuming it's mass zealots, and rightfully so.
Sure, Charge is on the way. Immortals in production too, and no Colossus this time around.
So that was absolutely the right call.
I mean, Interference Matrix on an Immortal is still really good, right?
That's true. But if he's going to be like anti-armor missiling the zealots...
Yeah, energy better used there.
We're just
Suppose you are correct.
dropping a bajillion turrets at the back of this gold base.
Auto turret harass. Alright, well guess what? Zealots are here. Zealots are here inside the main base. 3 SCVs die immediately. Another standing there. Widowmines try to burrow in. No, absolutely not. Gumiho on the other side of the map. Yeah, Gumiho's got another attack pushing on that gold base, but 4 SCVs and 2 Widowmines for nothing.
Nerf Widowmines.
Oh, 13 pros down. Widowmine. Good unit. Okay. No. Immortal not doing a lot here. This little group of ultimate DPS here. Oh, sniping that sentry that was throwing up Guardian Shield. Bam. Raven gets wiped out. That's a nice pickup. That's not a cheap unit. Zealots are back inside the main base of Gumiho. Chasing Marauders around like crazy people. Marauder trying to get in position to stay alive. Look at that micro, though, getting on the other side.
Oh, man.
More Zealots warping in. Worker count plummeting for Gumiho, despite the damage done on the other side of the map.
Gumiho, you had a beautiful move, but why would you move out when you did not kill the Prism?
Yeah, it was always there. It was always a threat. Gumiho's like, screw it.
He's got to get big damage done to his opponent, and he very well may. Moving in, going to unpower that pylon. Not only does he disable the battery overcharge, he cancels all those Zealots morphing in, and the gold will be his prize.
He gets it. Sasek knocked down to 2 bases, but Gumiho also on 2 bases, and all his production is on fire.
Yeah,
add-ons being targeted. Everything that pops out of those barracks is dying immediately. Gumiho's
move commands by mistake, and then just dies because he made a mistake, but he got the Colossus. So it almost looked planned, but we all know it wasn't. GG.
I was gonna say, he got the Colossus. Oh, it's not enough to offset the move command there. Yo, yeah. Look, like LaughNgamez said, you've got Zealots warping into your main base. Don't leave your main base alone until the War Prism is dealt with.
Because stats will come back.
And he did. Lost that gold base, no big deal. And it was confusing. Gumiho was making Marines back home. It's like there are 12 Zealots wreaking havoc in the main base. You're going to deal with them with Marines? I mean, maybe they're better than Marauders?
I don't know.
Dodo. No idea.
Like, most of the time when you're a Terran and you have not preempted the Prism in your main, like if you do not have units set to deal with the Prism ahead of time, that's a game you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Gumiho got caught out by the Prism twice. The second time shouldn't be a surprise.
No. He had like 2 Marauders to deal with it. It was not enough. It's like Gumiho wants Oceanborn. Man. This is tough. All right, let's move into a situation where Gumiho is down 3 games to 1. Not a happy place to be, but it's better than 3 games to 0, I always say.
It's true. Maybe he can catch stats out. Maybe this is the game to bring the next level cheese, the proxy Marauder. Who knows?
What have we said about cheese today, LaughNgamez?
Yeah, it doesn't work against stats.
No. Can you, like, try really hard and imagine Gumiho successfully beating stats with proxy Marauder cheese?
I mean, even the best Protoss get caught out sometimes, but...
I know. I just want you to try to imagine this right now in your head. Just take a second. Can you conceive of this?
I cannot.
I can't either. All right. On that note.
Someone did just contribute to the match arena, by the way, I believe under the username AMove. Bought the replays for the event. It's been a while since we had someone purchase those. So
yeah, I mean, it's stats. If you're struggling in PvT, what better way to figure out how to win that matchup than by studying stats?
yeah, that is very true. We got Gumiho in the bottom right.
And then you know this guy. He's been around for 10 years now. It's stats. I mean, not that Gumiho is a newcomer exactly.
No, he's actually one of the longest playing GSL players ever.
Gumiho competed in Global Starcraft 2 Team League back in 2011. So yeah, he's been around for a minute. Yeah, he did play in GSL Code A and Code S 2011 and 2012.
Yeah, he might be the player that's been around the longest that's still active.
He might be. Way to go, Gumiho. Way to evolve your game, too. That's good to see. Well, happy Daylight Savings Day.
Oh, yeah. Did we lose an hour yet? Or no, that's later.
I think for us, for Americans, I believe it's like at 2 a.m., like in a couple hours.
Yeah, it makes planning events so hard.
Yes. Time zones are the worst.
I think I finally wrapped my head around it, but the first few events, and it's like, we literally plan this event on the day that's daylight savings, so it's like, I'm like, oh gosh, I gotta get this right. And it doesn't help that, like, everything refers to different times. Like, Team Liquid uses Pacific Daylight Time and Pacific Standard Time.
Ugh.
And so you have to accommodate for that because they don't swap at times. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, time zones are a menace. If we got rid of them, I think it would help overall. Anyway, we got our... we talked about that idea before, right?
Getting rid of time
Have I ever
zones?
told you my idea, getting rid of time zones?
Like China?
Like, yeah. So, like, effectively, it would just be, you know, it's 3 p.m. Or we'll just say it's 800 hours, right? 8 o'clock. And it's 8 o'clock everywhere.
Yeah.
In Indonesia, it's 8 o'clock. In Mexico, it's 8 o'clock. In Germany, it's 8 o'clock. In Australia, it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then time's all the same. We don't have to worry about time zones or daylight savings or where exactly in the world somebody is and what their time is based on where you are. And maybe they're using a different system, but we all just use the exact same time.
I'd be okay with that. There'd have to be some way to, like, account for it, just to be like, hey, people in America are generally 8 hours behind people in Europe, and people in Korea are generally 16 hours ahead of us. So, I mean, I see the argument. It's just human and logistics. It's just impossible.
Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe in 100 years.
Hopefully.
Maybe. Hallucinated Phoenix finds the 2 Widowmine medevac that Gumiho used in the last game, too. This one probably not going to be awesome, although I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is just deja vu all over again. Groundhog Day stuff.
Oh, stalker for
gets
mine.
a stalker. That is beyond worth. That was fantastic.
Terrans love those trades.
Yeah, I'll take them every day. Interference Matrix again. We'll see if Gumiho finishes it this time.
Yeah, no gold base to tip him off to the Mass Zealot play. Oh my gosh, stats!
Oh, that force field was so good. Look at stats just accepting the Reaper grenade. He's like, it's fine. It's not going to do any real damage to us. And he was right. It didn't. All right, man. So Gumiho playing this pretty normal. I do really like the interference matrix against this robotic bay that Stats is coming up with here.
Yep.
These little timing attacks where you just disable a couple Colossus or a Disruptor can really change the tide of these early battles. Jiling says non-Americans use coordinated universal time for international meetings. So like UTC or something?
Yeah, isn't there like GMT or something? Or I don't know.
Yeah, GMT is another good one. Another standardized time. So there are, yeah, I mean, there are time zones that are kind of considered, like, know what this is so we can communicate with each other. Like, my company uses a lot of that. We have just different data centers around the world, so coordinating UTC makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Getting rid of daylight savings would help a bunch, yes.
It
Jalen,
really
I agree.
would.
Yep. And really, it was invented for farmers, as far as I can tell.
I think it was like Germany in World War I or II. They wanted people to use like less electricity or something.
Oh, yeah, I do think that was part of it. I've heard arguments that kids going to school in darker, earlier morning hours is dangerous.
Nobody cared about kids back then.
Well, I'm just saying, those are reasons I've heard today about why not to get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they all have cell phones. They'll light their way.
All right, man. Gumiho says, let's go. 2 Ravens, which this Stalker that stays alive manages
this is
to
a
scout.
huge push.
Yeah, Tank Marauder, Marine, double Raven is hot. I like this very much.
This is an all or nothing push. Stats like a good boy, though, is going to move out and try and preempt this attack. Moving that Colossus down the ramp, wants to bait out an interference matrix. There's one used.
It.
But oh, the Colossus was too far forward. Stats was a little bit late on that pullback, so it goes down. And all of a sudden, Gumiho is striking back. Interference Matrix goes down on that Colossus again. Stalkers are choked up horribly. Stats is going to go in without the Colossus, try and target down the tanks with a Zealot buffer. He takes down one of them, struggles to get the second, gets it just barely. The Colossus is still alive, so he can warp in Zealots to reinforce this possibly. There's still the one tank. Can Zealots make up for the losses Stats has had already? Oh
yeah, looks like it. Tank is down, Marine count is down, and my goodness, what a hold. There are reinforcements coming in. That's another disable. Man, these Ravens getting in some serious value, but the problem with it is that the Colossus come back eventually. So good spread there. The splash damage is nice, but look at them jumping on these Colossus with very few units, but the Marauder count is enough. Zealot's coming to try to save the day. And yep, jumping on those units will force a pickup and a retreat. Widowmine connections, solid one on those guys. But man, Gumiho put everything he had into that. He is getting a 3rd base behind it. It wasn't quite an all-in, but Stats has got a 4th base on the way.
That was just incredible that Stats was able to somehow take that fight in a snap decision. Gumiho's attack was killer. He did manage to pounce on that Colossus. And now he's just having to think about what he's going to do here. Stats takes the 4th.
Yeah, I don't know. Stats takes the 4th base. Gumiho is double pumping Vikings to deal with the Colossus that are still being produced here by Stats. Stats is +2 attack. Should finish this time around, especially if he's the one on the offensive. Gumiho doesn't seem to have any sneaky armies this time. But he's moving out. That is a very Marauder-heavy composition, which is what you want against a Colossus play from your Protoss opponent. This is looking okay from Gumiho.
Yeah, he's not looking too shabby with a nice supply lead. Still scanning the Protoss army, seeing exactly what he's up against, thinking, how am I going to engage that? He's got a Medivac dropping Widow Mines at the 3rd. I didn't see any big kills on that menu there. An Observer comes in, so this will be cleaned on up. 2-1 about to finish for Stats. 1-1 finishing for Gumiho.
Yeah, coming down that choke down a ramp's not really what you want to do. Down a ramp is better than upper ramp, but still, that choke area is pretty horrendous. Yeah, so there we go. Ground level 2 finish. Disruptors being added into the mix here. Colossus, we've got our 3. More Widowmine shenanigans happening, but not really seeing huge amounts of probe kills at all. Stats' response to this has been too good.
It has been. Gumiho's really been hoping for a good connection, but he hasn't got it.
Yeah, it's kind of hit and miss. That is the power of the Widowmine. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it helps. Disruptors can often kind of be the same way.
That's being a little far out, catching Gumiho off guard, eating some Viking shots, saves it with great Prism Micro. His Prism Micro has been insanely good today.
I cannot believe he saved that one. That was crazy.
Oh, the Prism, very softened up though, does go down.
Lord Prism gets sniped. Very good, very good. Viking's getting some good value here. I like it. Look at this Marauder count. It's Marauder Ghost Viking. What a great composition from Gumiho against this. Ooh, Colossus does get sniped. Viking count getting big here. Two more being produced at a time.
Should stats be out here?
Nope. Colossus are dead. Maybe that one can survive, and it does. There's one Colossus, though, down from the 3, and it's very injured, and it's going to get target fired and chased. Disruptor hits would be good for just zoning Gumiho back here. Maybe not necessarily getting some massive hits, just forcing him back, keeping that Colossus alive for now.
The 2-1 upgrades.
It's 79 to 53 army supply. I think Gumiho has just won this game.
He's so overstimmed, though. He's got to be careful as Zealots are going to really cut into this bio. Stats is somehow pushing us back in the middle of the map. That Ghost, though, really helping out just by being there. And now Stats down on units, down on supply. He's warping in Stalkers, but it's not what you need against all these Marauders.
No, 100%. You need more Zealots more than anything else. Landed Vikings here to provide additional DPS against pretty much everything here. The Stalkers and the Disruptors are mechanical, which means bonus damage from those landed Vikings is just that they are glass cannons.
Big
Trying to step
warping
in here, and yeah, Zealot Warping is, there you go. Gonna get a nice charge flank attack. Reinforcements coming in. More Vikings in the mix. The Disruptor gets picked off. Gumiho getting chased back, but he's refusing to go home.
Yeah, he feels weakness in Stats, and he's looking to kill this Protoss before he can recover. That
one behind Dark
so
Shrine.
close.
Stats is making DTs. Ooh, Pylon snipe denies that warping of those Zealots. Huge.
Yeah, good Disruptor kills those Widowmines for Stats, though, and he actually kills a lot of the reinforcements. Stalkers shooting down on Marauders. Zealots staying alive with the 3-2 upgrades now being oh so critical.
Oh my gosh, Stats is totally stabilized.
Yeah, a Zealot counterattack somehow squeezed out while this is going on. Gumiho has to go back home. Gumiho still has an army supply lead. He's still in a good economic position with a 4th base. Somehow Stats also squeezed out a 5th during all this and a Dark Shrine in his pocket.
He's still, yeah, that army supply is even now. Worker count looking pretty good too. Disruptors being added in, more Stalkers. Like you said, the upgrades are massively helpful here for Stats. Gumiho is working on +3 infantry attack, but it's a long way away. And guess who's getting DT Blink Stats?
I like how he gets that before he even tries to make a DT to catch Gumiho off guard. There's some DTs warping on in. And yeah, in the midst of all this chaos, a Terran could easily forget to position properly, easily forget turrets. Gumiho has none of those things. These DTs could hit him like a train.
Yeah, DT blinking on top of your planetary is every Terran player's nightmare.
Honestly, just these two, though, in the mineral lines, it's going to cause so much chaos for Gumiho.
He's been using his skins. Good Widowmine drop gets 6 probe kills, but DTs are sort of forever, man. That DT's like, there are no SCVs to kill. Guess I'll go after a refinery. Oh, and then Zealots getting in. All right, just triple-pronged harass happening here. Scan does clear that out. Not a huge number of Zealots. Bigger engagement in the middle. Stalkers blinking into this. Very different from earlier in the game when they were actively trying to stay away from these guys.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Another forward blink here. Liberator's priority target. Disruptor shot is huge.
It's massive, killing most of Gumiho's remaining forces as Stats somehow decides to go in and win the series. Just like, by gosh, how does a Protoss with that glass cannon of an army decide to attack on in? But Stats does it.
He blinks in twice on top of the Terran army. That is insane. And he pulls it off. I called this game for Gumiho. I was wrong. I caster cursed this thing so hard. And Stats wins it 4-1. Gumiho fighting hard, getting that win, fighting hard in that last game too. Could not quite do it enough to take down Stats, and Stats is back, everyone. I think that's all there is to it. Wow.
Yeah, that was incredible.
So Stats got out-trained by Gumiho, 219 to 273 units, but outkilled Gumiho, 217 to 144. I mean, that is some incredible cost efficiency with the units that were produced. That's really a lot of it, man. The Blink Micro, the Disruptor hit at the end there was massive, too.
Yeah, it really was, and he did so many things right there. He had the one mistake with the Colossus during that game, wandering forward, but he was good enough to be able to recover and bring it back. The decision to somehow he squeezed out a Nexus, a Dark Shrine, a Zealot counterattack, while Gumiho is right on the verge of killing him, and still making the defense happen. That's just nuts that he was able to do that. And so we have our winner for Afreeca World 111. Thanks so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, good to have you guys in chat. Like Call Me Sparky says, I thought Stats was said 4 times that last game. I'm with you, man. I thought he was too. That's just Stats. I mean, I don't really have a hard time saying that, you know, I think every other Protoss player is possibly just dead in that situation. And for Stats to be able to hold on and counter and win is impossible. So,
yeah.
Anyway, well done, Stats, getting that win. What a fun Afreeca World that was. Sorry I showed up late, everybody. Next time should be better, but yeah, Stats is just a monster.
Yeah, that was a great series. We'll try and get a lineup equally as good for the next one. Big thanks to the players coming out. Big thanks to you guys for watching. Hit up that Matcherino and use the coupon code if you haven't already on your way out. We'll see you guys next time, hopefully in about 2 weeks for Afreeca World 112. Check out.
Be there or be square.
Yeah, check out Falcon and I on Twitter, on YouTube. We both post there fairly regularly. And, well, Falcon incredibly regularly. And, yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.